Hello, it's Adam here, as always, just with a little note. Of course, I have my squiggling sidekick with me. Say hello, squiggling sidekick.
Hello.
And it's just a little note, just to say that the audio for this episode is a little bit weird. Mostly because during editing, we had a power cut. Just as I was saving a lot of my side of it, which somehow and some way corrupted all of my parts, which was wonderful. So I've had to reconstruct my parts from the Discord backup, which is a little crackly. I've done the best I can with it. I hope that's not too bad. So with all that being said, I'm going to let you now go back in time to past me and the show that was recorded about a week ago. Because, this has been a lot of work. I hope it's been worth it. Say bye-bye, Squiggling.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations, Cadet! You have successfully demonstrated the ability to do what I tell you to. I like that. My dog does what I tell her to. I like my dog. I should introduce you to each other. Remind me to do that. In other words, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. Roll the music!
How we beat up, I could need some of you. Straight up, there is nothing else around you. Sit tight, you think it's in the rain. We need to get back, we need to get back in the game. Oh yeah.
So what was that? What was that reference to?
Oh, see, I want to see if either of you two know where it came from.
Nope.
No?
I don't.
Okay. It came from the MechWarrior 2 game. It's the training instructor.
Oh.
I thought I'd, move it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Make it more, since both of you guys are MechWarrior fans, so,
Yeah.
That'd be a bit nice. You
It's
enjoy
been decades since I've played MechWarrior 2. Decades.
Maybe I should have gone for MechWarrior 3?
No, I fell more into the Mech Assault kind of people because I had the Xbox. I really liked Mech Assault 2 Lone Wolf. That was a lot of fun.
I don't
See, I
have
never
any-
refer Mech too many because I couldn't. It was for quick time actions. I could never get on with very well.
Was it quick action things?
I think yeah.
I thought it was just an action game.
When you had to hack into different suits using the power armor.
Oh right,
to
okay, that makes
mount
sense.
different mechs, it was quick time events.
Yeah.
The rigor at the time.
But then once you got in, it was just standard like push the thing forward. It it was much more basic than like a Mech Warrior game. So I can understand why Mech Warrior people might not like it versus baby pilots like me that just wanted the action.
Mech Assault, which was quite good fun to be honest.
Yeah.
Mech Assault 2, as far as I got in it, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Actually, did I beat about? And it's quite funny because recently they've been doing updated TROs, technical readouts for the tabletop game.
Mm-hmm.
They've made the battle armor from Mech Assault 2 canon.
Oh, really?
Because before, basically, what they work on the theory that anything that's not in novels or the tabletop game is apocryphal. But they've been slowly bringing little bits and pieces in. So when they did the BattleTech video game a few years back, the XCOM alike, they did a source book for the area the
that's
you're
cool.
fighting in. And that's now canon. And they had actually gone to that part of the periphery because no one knew anything about it. So it was a blank slate.
Hmm.
And it's like a couple of the battle mechs from MechWarrior 4 that were actually intended to be particular mechs, but they didn't look like them like they should do. They've made those canon now as completely unique mechs in their own right, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool. I like it when stuff like that happens. But before I get into anything else that I like, I just quickly want to say that George isn't here this evening. We, of course, have myself. I am Adam. I am here to hold your hands as we travel this roller coaster of rampaging randomness that usually consists of the entire episode of the Fluffenhammer. And over to my left, we have Andy.
Ah!
And over to my right, it is my great pleasure to say, introducing him for his very first main show Fluffenhammer appearance, it's Big Swingin D.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm so happy that you just accepted that name now.
I've been called worse.
it's one of the little things in life that gives me joy.
Yeah.
Big Swing. I don't even know where the name came from. It's just Big
It came from the
Swingin'
same
D.
place that Pooh Wolf came from.
Ah, yes, Pooh Wolf. Pooh Wolf, where the air is thin. Pooh Wolf.
Let's not pretend that you don't come up with some unique ideas. You
I
know?
wish I could say that I spent time thinking about this shit, but it just falls out my mouth.
Yeah.
It's
I just love that whenever I comment on Andy or Matt's videos on Twitch, they both respond to me as Big Swingin D, and it's hilarious.
It's easy to say.
Yeah,
My main mod's called
easier than my
Daddy,
actual
so-
name, to be honest.
it makes me so happy. Also, I would be very careful about the way that you said when you come onto Andy or Matt's screen. That's just be warned that people get upset about that, especially when they put the phone to their ear and it's sticky. But anyhow, moving on. Let's find out what we've been up to over the last 2 weeks since we recorded last. Andy,
Has it only been 2 weeks? I thought
It
it was
has.
more.
it's been like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, all right.
Time is a weird mistress that constantly takes and gives. Usually takes.
It is, because we're definitely going to have to be recording next week as well.
Yes, we are. It's one of those things where, well, we could leave it until it's 3.5 weeks between episodes, or we could try and get 2 episodes in a fortnight, which is. It doesn't sound like much, does it? It really doesn't. But time is a harsh mistress.
Yeah.
I don't understand how time works anymore. So yeah, Andy, what have you been doing since last we spoke?
In terms of Warhammer stuff, you mean?
Well, hobby, general joy,
I guess it's only hobby then. Hobby-wise, I've just been hoofing through a little bit more of the Soulblight Gravelords I've got in my black and white color scheme with a bit of red. I've nearly got 5 more dudes done. They're just waiting for the bases to be not PVC, sticky and moist at the moment. I've got 3 Crypt Horrors, 1 Vargeist left to finish, a Vampire Hero, and is it 2 Skeletons? Maybe 2 Skeletons, and then the rest needs to just be like worked on before they're close to being finished. I did get a load of spraying done this week, so I got a load of just more based and ready for the dry brush phase. I got most of the Cursed City heroes as well sorted.
Oh, cool.
I probably won't do them in the same color scheme. I'll probably give them more of a normal paint job, but that's going to be tricky. I think like 3 or 4 of them have been zenith highlighted, so they're ready to be painted properly. And the only other stuff I did was primed and sorted out 5 Chaos Chosen and 1 Warrior. So I sprayed it black, sprayed it red, sprayed it yellow, contrast yellow, and now I have to very, very slowly go through and do the silver trim and not fuck up any of the get any of it onto the yellow.
Good luck.
That's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish you the very best of luck, man. I mean, to be fair, those yellows are gorgeous.
Yeah. It's just like a Uriel yellow through an airbrush. It's a lead one, so I thought it wasn't going to look too good, but it's quite nice once you airbrush it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I keep thinking to myself, I really need to get into airbrushing, but that costs money.
It does, and I've got the cheap stuff as well. I got an air compressor from Aldi, which was expensive by my standards, but not nearly as expensive as professional or even moderately decent stuff. And I think it's a Water cheap end of an airbrush, so I think it's only like 70, which again is on the super cheap side, because I saw high end YouTubers going like, "This is my Kickstarter for the next airbrush," and I was like, "Oh, how much is it?" It's £240. Like, oh well,
Yeah.
never mind.
Well, I understand that Watt is generally a pretty good brand of airbrush as a rule. So.
Yes, it's not. Don't get me wrong; it's not bad. It's just not. It's not high end. It's not super good. You know.
It does the trick, but it's not. It's not there for finer
finesse.
Finesse and precision.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that anyway. I see like how people are able to control the airflow, and I don't know if it's me not able to do that, or if it's my compressor that's not able to do that, or if it's the airbrush, or if it's a combo of all 3. You know, it's one of those things. But yeah, that's I've nearly finished Siege of Terror Book 2. Nearly at the end of that. I'm still a long way off from it being done, because I only get to listen to about 10 minutes of a book per week as I go out and venture and do the shopping and come back. But we're nearly done, and it was a good book. Yeah.
And at some point, Andy, we've discussed that we need to come to see you, and we all just sit in silence with like, headphones in and just be able to listen to audiobooks that we want to listen to.
I don't think Abby would want that. She wouldn't want to listen to Warhammer novels.
Well, no, she'd have like Lockwood or.
Oh, so you and Abby would come to see me, and we'd just sit in silence listening to audiobooks.
It's just a really good excuse for all three of us to be able to like make some headway on audiobooks.
I just need to be able to get in the car and drive places. That's my main time. Because the only other time is like I got a new like CD player because my other one was my good one was busted, and then my spare one was the one that my grandparents won back when I was in first school for a raffle. So it's old as shit.
Right.
And it rattled because it was one of the ones where the lid pops up and you push it down and you click it into place.
Oh no!
Yeah, the lid never settled, so I had to balance like two sets of my Warhammer novels. You know how there's like 20 CDs in each of them. Had to put two of those on top just to keep the lid closed. So I bought one, and now I'm able to listen to audiobooks again properly. It sounds lovely. But obviously, I can't like make headway through a book, otherwise I'll stay up all night. But I'm getting to listen to Angel Exterminatus again, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a nice little book to have a go at.
Yeah, I get to hear them say a diaphanous beauty multiple times because I just play it over and over again every night. So it's quite fun, and I get to hear Perturabo talk about the rust setting in.
Yeah.
I've been working through Gaunt's Ghosts on Audible at the moment.
Which book are you on?
I'm on Armor of Contempt.
Which is book number? Which one?
10.
Yes.
Of how many?
It's for we're up to about 16.
Oh, so okay, you're not too far from being caught up.
Well, it's the last book in the Lost Ark. No, it's the penultimate book in the Lost Ark. There's one more to go. But at the moment, it's weird because they had audiobooks of the last 3.
Yes.
Out for some time, and they've gone back to the start and got the guy who did the audio for the last book. And the thing is, I haven't listened to those 3 books yet.
No.
So I'm waiting for them to do them all properly, but it's just great listening to all his various accents for the ghosts. Because not only are the ghosts, not only for Tanith a mix of Welsh, Scots, and Irish, but now he's got the Vervenhivers who are very Russian, and the Baladon who are very, very French. and it's brilliant.
Honestly, every time I listen to the early Gaunt's Ghosts books, I always have just that one line of "sure is sure" just going through my head. It's like
Elijah Beffing Coup.
Yeah. Well, I think that's his actual name, isn't it? Fucking
Pretty
Coup.
much.
Yeah. He goes up there with shitty Ballface from the Word Bearers.
Ah, yes, Shitty Ballface, the famous word bearer.
No,
it'll be
Erebus. Yeah. Shitty Ballface. Yeah.
No, he doesn't have a face anymore. You lie.
He's just got a pair of balls just hanging there because he's Shitty Ballface. God damn Shitty Ballface. Being all shitty and ball-faced.
God, I've got an image of Horus when he doing the old Nick Cage. I want to take his face off. When he...
What? No, replace it with yours. No. I just want to take it off. It really upsets me. The fact he has to move these pendulous bollocks out of the way so he can talk to you. It's horrible. I hate it.
You should have given it to little Horace. You know, a little Horace is missing a face. Take Erebus's because he's a cock.
Yeah.
Problem sorted.
There you go. Have Erebus's face. Oh, man.
Well, I like the fact that Perturabo, when he sees Erebus, when he goes to see Horace, he's like, "Oh yeah, I hate little Horace," because he thinks, "Oh, look at me, I'm little Horace. I look like the War Master. Lardy fucking da. He's shit. He's shit." It's like, okay, Perturabo, calm down.
Yeah,
calm down.
He's such a petty soul. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well, he's had a shit life, so everybody treats him like shit. So he's really pissed, which is fair enough.
I've got a soft spot for Perturabo. He's just...
Same.
I don't know.
He doesn't speak nice things and not have them be blown up.
Yeah. You know, Perturabo reminds me of the guys that have to work on the sewage systems and get rid of fatbergs every fucking day. And they're like, for fuck's sake, every fucking day we tell people don't wash baby wipes or shit like that down the drains, and they still fucking do it. And I'm still here. And I just want to make buildings. I want to make churches and stuff. I'm not able to. I have to deal with this shit every day. And yeah, my brother Larry, who's a right cock, he's doing everything I want to do.
Dad loves him, took him home, gave him all the toys to play with.
He doesn't need to work in the fucking sewer systems.
That's That's like the perfect example of Rogel and Perturabo's relationship, isn't it? So I'm the one who does all the work, and he's the one that gets all the fucking praise. Fucking Rogel. If I have a third, I was going to say if I have a third child. No, hang on. If I have a second child, I'm going to name him Rogel for that particular reason. Do you actually? I don't know why this has reminded me, but do you guys remember a TV show? It was like a parody cop show from about 10, 15 years ago, and it had Eddie Izzard as a mafia boss.
No.
No, I can't think what it was called. I'd have to look
I was
it up.
hoping you were going to say Space Police.
No. After that,
I'm getting odd bits of remembrance, but nothing concrete.
The idea was that a cop got blown up, and then they put a master criminal's face on him, so he could go in and the cop died, and they saved the master criminal by putting the cop's face on him. And they were trying to control him to be a good policeman when he was just this fucking chaos agent. And it's just, for some reason, I just remembered Eddie Izzard just doing I could call my child Zeus, but he would have visions of grandeur. I could call my child shit, and he would just have no self-worth. There is no in-between. It just popped into my head. I'm going to have to find out what that show was called now. It was written by the guy that did Sledgehammer. If everybody remembers that one.
I remember Sledgehammer. Damn, that's a cut.
Oh, Sledgehammer is one of the greatest TV series ever made. Season 1 ends with a cliffhanger of a nuclear explosion happening in LA. It goes off, you see the explosion, and Season 2 gets round the fact they've killed everybody by having it as a prequel series set before the first series.
Does Barry Allen not vibrate the explosion, so it just goes through everybody?
Nope. But there is an evil hand that tries to kill people. and a monkey that was trained to kill Saddam Hussein, but they haven't finished the training, so it just attacked people with mustaches violently.
See, that's a good setup for Monkey versus Tom Selleck.
Oh god, yeah. Especially Tom Selleck as he is now, because he looks like Mike Hagar. It's terrifying.
Yeah, he fucked you up.
It's one of those things where, why is there no Final Fight movie just so you can have Tom Selleck as Mike Hagar? Mayor Mike. Anyhow, what was it? Oh yes, myself. I picked up the anniversary miniatures this week from my local Games Workshop's anniversary week.
Oh, cool.
So I now have the Caradron Overlord named character who I've forgotten his name because the book's all the way on the other side of the room, and I'm attached to the computer by a wire. And I've got the Leagues of Votan character as well. They are really, really nice. The League's character just went together like nothing. I'd finished work and got home. I was like, well, I finished work late. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm going to build one of these guys. Oh, I'm done.
To be fair, the Votan miniatures do go together really quickly.
It was weird how quick it went together, because there was quite a lot of bits, but it just went whoop. It was almost like it magnetized itself. It was like
they're wonderfully well designed for how they go together.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. The Caradron guy, he took a little bit longer, mostly because I spent about half an hour debating which head to give him. Does he have head with no helmet, holding his helmet, or head with helmet, holding a ship? So I decided to give him a head, no helmet, holding the helmet, then cut the ship out of his hand and placed it on a guy who's done really well in games of Age of Sigmar. So he's now got a little toy ship, which I'm going to paint gold as a little prize for him, because he's done good.
Were you tempted to put all of the heads on one guy?
You don't know how close I got in the middle of the night when my brain was just going in loops, trying to work out what the best thing to do would be.
And if it's a Votan, you just say he has lots of AI heads on him?
Funnily enough, earlier today, I was sorting through my bits box, because it's got to a bit of a state, so I needed to sort it out, so arms go in arms, heads go in heads, all that type of thing. And I found the head from the Brawn, the Transformer, who I dismembered and turned into a vehicle. And I was looking at it going, oh shit, yeah, that's a Voton head. I'm going to have to do something with that, so it can be like one of the Votons just floating around.
Wait, are you saying it's going to be like the head of Zardos?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I mean, I was going to make him into a G2 Blacktron scheme, but now I'm thinking Sean Connery in a red nappy.
Yeah.
And just the size of the Hecate, is it the Hecate? It's called. Just have the gun is good, the penis is evil.
Actually, you could do a really good version of Sean Connery from Zardos using a fire slayer.
But that's just too obvious. I think Space Naked is better than Fantasy Naked.
Yeah, Griff doesn't like easy jobs. Griff likes to make it as difficult as he can for himself.
Yeah.
Don't say.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I've built all of the Cruel Boys miniatures I've got.
I'm sorry.
So, yep.
Mediocre orcs.
They're all built and decapitated. So that's good. The heads will probably be getting used for my Sons of Hashut, the Slaves to Darkness army, and when I can print,
they'd work well on hobgoblins, right? Or for hobgoblins' heads, I suppose, right?
the idea? Yeah, they don't look that far from the hobgrot. But I think if I painted them with flesh colors, you get a real sense of humans that have just been withered rather than hobgrots.
Sounds like you need a Slaves to Darkness army and have cultists.
So out of 60 hobgrots, 24. I apologize for sounding a bit weird. I've just turned around. 28 Chaos Dwarfs made out of the old 90s Chaos Warrior set. 12 Ogreoids and Be'lakor sound as a Slaves to Darkness army.
I mean, there's no Chaos Warriors in there.
There is. The Chaos Dwarfs are going to be proxy Chaos Warriors.
So they're going to be like short people.
Yes. They just that kit already looks short compared to the with its big old hunched shoulders. There's a Kickstarter I saw recently actually, and it's somebody who's done a multi-part kit based around the idea of that old Chaos Warrior set.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it just made me so happy. It's like, yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do a multi-part kit.
Nice.
It's one of those things where the Frostgrave box sets, I always think that they are the perfect multi-part kits. The only downside is I'm not a huge fan of the scale of the sculpts, the heft of them. They're a little too thin.
They're a little chunky.
I find them a little too thin, to be honest. Yeah. It's I think it's because for so many years I've done 32 heroic scale, so when you get to actual 32mm scale, things look a little weird. It's like,
Actually, what I have found quite good is Wargames Atlantic stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've got a load of their Space Narm, which is brilliant. I've got a sprue of their Grognars came on the front of a magazine, which is like, oh, that's nice.
I have, right next to me here, I haven't started working on it yet, a lead miniature of theirs. I think it came from Warlord Atlantic, and it's the Space Dwarf riding the jet bike.
Have you tried swigging it around your mouth just to get that good lead taste off of it?
Not yet. I'll do that.
I didn't think Wargames Atlantic did metal. They're almost entirely premature plastic.
It might not be Wargames Atlantic, and I might be wrong.
I don't think it's Mantic, so I don't think I've done a jet bike for it.
No, it's not Mantic. I can tell it's not Mantic because it doesn't look like made of jelly. I know people like Mantic, and I hold them no ill will. I think Mantic do great for what they do, and they do a great job in keeping the price down. But there's a reason the price. Yeah, there is a reason.
Your stuff looks like shit, he says. He hates you. He doesn't like you, just like your shitty games or your shitty models, and anyone that buys them is a fucking moron. That's what he's saying. You know it. I know it.
I would like
to say I didn't say any of that. I just said that they look a little puffy, like a Bayformer.
It was implied.
Yeah, it was implied. Yeah,
it was implied.
Right. So I've got a question that I put out into the world.
Didn't you finish reading the book this week though?
Oh, I've finished reading a couple of books actually this week. Yes.
Didn't you finish reading a really important book which you couldn't stop talking about to George for a bit?
Maybe.
Part one of like the quintessential
maybe. Yeah, I have finished the first part of the Echoes and the End and the Death. I am going to say nothing about it here. Me and George are planning on getting a few people together to do a Patreon episode about it.
Yes, I have capital T thoughts about that book.
Yeah, and I think it's less going to be for other people's enjoyment and more a therapy session for about 4 people, just so we can all talk about why our heads have all just fallen over and our eyes have melted and burnt to cinders.
You know what I was surprised at? The size of the book and the audiobook only seems to be 3 hours more than most of the other Siege of Terror books. It's only 18 hours, and that book looks like it's much, much bigger than what would be 18 hours.
I mean, it is the longest of the books so far. Looking at my stack of Siege of Terror books next to me. Yeah, it is the thickest of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw pictures. I think Gruff took a picture of the quote-unquote BB Killer book. And I was like, yeah, that looks big. That's why I was surprised it was only 18 hours.
I think it's just that Jonathan Keeble just goes through... Sorry, it's Toby Longsworth, isn't it? Toby Longsworth just goes through it at a fair clip.
I'm actually amazed it's so short an audiobook because I read Brandon Sanderson stuff, and his Stormcast books are all... Each one, we're on like book 4, and each one's they've gone from like 35 hours to like 48.
Jesus.
Wow. That might be a bit too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of read those and then listen to them. I'm weird like that.
I know I tried doing the what the hell was it called? It was the first book in a big Stormcast storyline.
50 Shades of Grey.
No.
Oh.
Nose.
Oh. 50 Shades of Stormcast.
Nose.
No.
I don't know why I'm saying nose like that. That's weird. I can't remember what it was, but I really struggled to get into it. I can't think what it was called now.
Was it a recent one? Or?
Yeah, it
the
came
God
out...
Eater one.
God Eater. No, not God Eater. God Eater. I spoke up great.
It's not that one which is about a bunch of Stormcast going off and doing a particular... It's got 3 Stormcast under cover and they're all... A couple of them are the new model style ones, and one of them's the original style of Stormcast. It wouldn't be that, would it?
I seem to remember they're all blue, which is funny because for years I've made the joke from when I worked in a library that I hate it when people come in. Have you got my favourite book? The cover was blue, and it turns out they were twins. Because that's the thing that was once said to me. So by saying the fact that this book is blue angers me greatly.
I was a bookseller for 5 years. I've dealt with worse.
What was it called? This is going to bother me now. It's going to annoy me. So I'm going to just quickly see if I can get into my Audible and find... No, I can't. Okay, fuck it then. Doesn't matter. Right. What else have I got through? There's been a few books I've got through, actually, because I got through the end of Echoes... I keep trying to call it the Echoes and the Death. Got through the End and the Death, and that was a book with lots of things happening in it, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
And for more information, you'll have to sign up to the Patreon show.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I've also gone through Khan, Eater of Worlds, which I wrote a review about, which will be out this weekend. That was fine. It was.
Yay!
It was absolutely fine. I enjoyed it. Anthony Reynolds.
I don't know him offhand.
There is nothing about this book that I could say was bad. It was an enjoyable experience. I don't regret getting it in any way, shape, or form. I just kind of wish it was either the first book of a longer series or a longer book. So it just kind
It's
of...
a few years old now, that one, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it was originally done for the 2014 Black Library Advent Calendar. Or 2015, maybe. And yeah, that's why it's quite short. Yeah, it's very enjoyable, but fuck me, I want more of that. And funnily enough, talking about before, I also finished The Armour of Contempt in the last couple of weeks, which was great because all the God Ghosts books are great.
Yes.
Some of them are better than others, but they're usually good. I think the worst one so far has been the one where it's just them travelling down a road for the entire book, which is a bit much.
Oh, I know for one, it's the first one after they recruit the Vergasts.
Yes, yeah.
Honor Guard.
Honor Guard, yeah. Yeah, that it wasn't bad in any way, shape, or form, but you just kind of, come on. Something, please. I know what it was doing. I understand everything it was setting up. And it's a setup book, but yeah, it was fine. And that is pretty much all I've done this week, other than set up some stuff for the site, and I have attempted to record some of the Dark Imperium stories for YouTube. I've got through one of them, and I am onto the second story into it, which was written by Ben Counter. And
Oh no. Has he gotten better? Oh no.
Silence.
Oh no.
I mean,
Is it-
silence.
let's
Okay,
just,
wait. Here's the question: is it better or worse than Galaxy in Flames, which is the only one I know of?
it's better than Galaxy in Flames.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good.
And nothing about it is bad as such,
Mhm.
but trying to read it hurts the tongue. It's like
Oh my!
I don't think you're reading correctly if you're using your tongue.
it's almost like you have to do mouth gymnastics in order to get the words to fit. It's really odd. It's a strange experience.
Are you sure you've not accidentally loaded up a grimoire of some sort?
I'm positive. Allow me to give you an idea.
Oh no!
Alright.
What have I done?
Stood in the centre of the room, stripped of her armour and dressed only in her simple Soriatis robes, Ascarion lost half of her bulk. She was slender but wiry, but with a strange pent-up energy that marked her out as a fine leader. She'd been called out before the Canoness a few times before, and then it had been, oh for God's sakes, and then it had been only for the praise. But this was different. She knew it. Nothing in there seems difficult, but there's something about
The structure seems weird.
It's a bit overwrought.
I think it might be that. It might be it's just really overwrought that I'm having my brain's kind of fighting against it.
Yeah, and I know accusing the 40k in the book of being overwrought is like accusing. Well, it's rather a non sequitur to be honest, but still, that seems like it's gone a bit too far.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. But anyhow, big Swingin D. Actually, is there anything else you've been up to these last few weeks that you'd like to discuss in any way, shape, or form?
Well, much like you, Adam, I've finished The End of the Death, Part 1, and
Yep.
have had to reconsider a lot of things about the Horus Heresy that it puts into new context. Because, sweet Jesus. I read through that first founding book they did for Black Library Open Day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot that. Yeah.
Which is quite a nice book, to be fair. It's lovely presented. There's some really nice new art pieces. If you want to get a flavour for all the different those 9 chapters, it's pretty good. And it's nice that there are. I mean, Guy Haley takes the lead, and he is a pretty safe pair of hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's nice that Nick Kime and Chris Ray get to play with their personal chapters as well. So, which is not a surprise.
You just reminded me of something actually, which I found really interesting this week. Did you guys realise that C.L. Werner is the most reviewed author on the Fluffenhammer site?
I didn't, but it doesn't surprise me.
It kind of came as a shocker. I just kind of went, "Oh my god, it's another C.L. Werner book I've reviewed. How many is this? 7. Okay, right."
I mean, given for the longest time he was really Black Library's go-to old world horror guy.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest, Adam.
I really like C.L. Werner.
Mm.
He's a master of gets it done.
Mm.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else I've done. I've been building is my relaxing time. So I've finished building my 2 boxes of Cadia stands and a second box of Kazakin. And
how are they to build?
They're actually really nice to build. To be fair, I quite like just building the bodies and then seeing what I can do with the bits. So and you have so much stuff left over. I mean, for Kazkin, I need to order another set of bodies just to use all the spare parts I've got left over. I have enough parts to build another 2 squads. It's nuts. I did heavy weapons teams as well. I ordered 2 boxes of those. They were quite nice to build. You do get quite a lot of margin out of that. I've been painting some BattleTech, trying to get back in the rhythm of that, and more building. So I've been building some Bushido, some Infinity, trying to get on the backlog. And otherwise just working, so that's kind of it, really.
Oh yes, the wonderful joys of just day-to-day grind. Let's not talk about the miseries.
Yes.
Uh,
I am though halfway through a rather excellent book I've been waiting on for a while. Kate Elliott, the second of her, I think it's Unconquered Empire series, which is a sci-fi gender bent take on Alexander the Great,
Oh, okay. Well,
and it's really really good. I can't rate it highly enough. The first book I got off of Amazon it was one of their Prime reads, so you agree with Prime, and yeah, it's fantastic. It's a really good sci-fi space opera. So,
excellent stuff.
Yeah.
I've just restarted the Bob trilogy. Well, it's now 4
Do you like that,
books.
Bob?
I love Bobbiverse. We are Legion, we are Bob. It's one of those things where I got it because it was one of the free books at one point, or you buy one get one free, and it had a really good reviews, and it just said it's science fiction by way of Red Dwarf and Terry Pratchett, but like neither of those things.
Wow.
I just went, well, that's a really bizarre review, so go on, I'll give it a try. And by the time I was halfway through book 1, I'd already bought books 2 and 3. The Dennis E. Taylor's Bob books are just incredible. They're just so good. I can't tell you why, because it spoils it. But basically, it starts off with a guy outside a Comic-Con getting run over and dying. And then 200 pages later, you're about 250 years into the future and accelerating, and there are worlds to find. And it just keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it picks up on some of my favourite bits of theoretical sci-fi, like Dyson spheres and von Neumann probes and things like that. So it's just, this book was just written for me. This is great. It's like, because it's quite heavy with the references, it's like if only player 1 was good and remembered to put in things like characterization and a story.
My God.
Fair.
Ready Player One shit.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the film, so I don't know about that.
I know the movie shit. I don't know about the book, but I can tell you the movie shit.
The only thing I enjoyed about the book was it was written by read by Will Wheaton, and that is always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie had a Gundam fighting Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, it doesn't mean the story's good. Doesn't mean anything about it was good. It just means it was pretty.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. It's like, okay. I need a bit of me. I need more. I need more than the pretty.
I'll put it this way: Cars 2 looked pretty.
Did it? Did it not just look like Cars 1?
No, they moved on to the Marionette programs. They moved off Prospero and then on to Marionette. So there was much more deeper textures and better colours.
Did you say they moved off Prospero?
Yeah, they moved off Prospero. Yeah.
Oh, they had to, didn't they?
Magnus came back. Oh man, can you imagine like Woody the Primarch? That would be amazing. I asked a question to the community this evening.
Oh God.
And that was, you are given free reign to create or recreate an element of Warhammer Fantasy Battle for the upcoming old world game and setting. What do you choose and why? And we will come to those answers at the end of the show. So, shall we move on to some news then, my little
Yeah.
news? Let's. Excellent stuff. Right, so starting at the top, because obviously slow news week, because next week's when all the real news hits. But we're going to start here with the most important thing that I think anybody listening to us will hear at any given point. And that is the latest entry into the Old World Development Diary.
We're Knights of a Round Table. We dance whenever we're able.
So it appears the rumours that the box set is actually going to be the Tomb Kings versus the Bretonians.
This makes me so happy.
It might actually be true. This is like, if you went back 3 years and told me that the two armies that got absolutely bombed out of existence when they moved over to Age of Sigmar would be holding a box set, I would have laughed at you and pushed you into the mud. You'd just be, nah, get away from me, peon. You are incorrect. But it looks like that rumor might be true. So what have we got? We've got a look at some heads. We've got a look at some shields. We've got a look at some weaponry. We're going to look at some various bugs and beetles and scarabs, some flails, various other spiked Khemri weapons, and just all in all, I'm absolutely goddamn baffled by the old world. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I just can't get my head around what it is.
What baffles you about it?
How are you going to make it last?
Well, I mean, they're setting it in the period. They've said it's going to be set way back before the old world as we knew it. So
yes, yeah.
During the Great Invasion, so you got Magnus the Pious coming to his beings and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've clearly been collaborating with the guys behind Total Warhammer and Creative Assembly.
Absolutely.
Especially for the Kislev stuff.
Which makes me very happy for one reason, which we'll come to later.
Yeah. But I think they might have just realised that there is a bit of a market for Warhammer still, if they would actually support it. Because that was my problem with Bretonians, because they were my first army back in the day, but I actually did an army for Warhammer.
Yeah.
I bought the Lizardman versus Bretonian box set.
Yep, I had that as well.
Because I won't lie, I love the Ophirian Nightstick. It's my bag. But over the years, even when they had their redo, which did have some quite nice kits, and I've used some of the peasants especially, some very nice kits, and some of the metals were good. But the aesthetic didn't really match what was in the art in the book.
No.
Because the books had a lot of stuff that was very Kingdom of Heaven inspired.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted. And the miniatures weren't really that, especially for the knights.
Yeah, I mean, they did with the Bretonians what they did with everything. You know, the Skaven were what if rats but people. In this case, the Bretonians were what if French but people. And it made a... I like how you both just let me get away with that.
I didn't... What do you mean? You made something that was true.
And it kind of ended... and it kind of... there was a massive disconnect between the book and the miniatures when it came to the Bretonians, because there was a lot of the, as you say, the Kingdom of Heaven. There was a lot of the sensation of Fae and fairy tale, Germanic fairy tale stuff that was happening in the background. Because I mean, the idea was that the lady was actually Alarielle, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was what they were hinted at, or it was just a wood elf being a bitch.
To do her thing.
Just a tree elf. Yeah.
I think it's better if it is Alarielle, because it's more like a haha stupid humans, and it's very wood elfy, especially if the leader was doing it as well. Yeah,
absolutely. It'd be funny if it was just a tree in a dress. That would be absolutely hilarious.
It's Dreicher, one of the most evil-looking trees.
No, it's just one of the. If you remember those old lead tree men. With the really squished up faces and the...
Can it not just be monsters in my pocket tree?
Yep, it's a monster in my pocket tree in a dress, just throwing swords at people as a form of government. Maybe it ran through some rags, and it was like all covered in rags. And it was like trying to kill the Bretonians by throwing swords at them, and they all went, "Aha! It must be the lady. It has given me this power," and that's how the Bretonian Empire began.
If you wanted to make it so that it was like, I could see how this would happen, the pilgrim would have to go through like brambly bushes. The brambly bushes are filled with the hallucinogenic poison, so they get scratched by all these little poison things. So by the time they get to the tree, they actually believe what they're seeing.
Yep, there we go. That works for me.
Go. Logistics.
Yeah.
Well, the whole point is we have to drink from the Grail. Who knows what's in that thing?
Just right, you're pissing in it.
Fucking humans! Look at them drinking my urine. One idiot.
Do you feel immortal, do you? You have chosen poorly.
No, it's more wheelie than poorly.
Yeah, I think that the best way to describe why I'm so confused by this is it comes from two separate areas. One, Warhammer Fantasy Battle died because it was stuck in the cycle of lack of support and lack of interest. These two things feed each other constantly through the last decade of Warhammer Fantasy Battle's life. You know, people stopped playing it, so it got supported less, which meant people stopped playing it, which means it was supported less. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm not entirely sure, but that is the cycle that it was stuck in. And the end times gave it a boost, but it wasn't enough to really do much more than bring in people who had stopped playing from years ago. The other side of the confusion is this is the replacement for the Horus Heresy. Now, the Horus Heresy, I say replacement, it's because Horus Heresy moved to another tier of release, basically. So this has an issue with releases. If this is all resin, then that's a lot of money that's going to have to get spent to make an army.
The images that we've seen don't look like they're resin.
They
could be, but they don't look
it.
it.
The new plastic kits. It's in.
It actually says here, it's plastic kits. But one of the big things I'm thinking of here is with Horus Heresy, there was a ability to make, for example, a collection of Space Marines, and they, due to the setting, could be painted up as anything. They could be any Space Marine. They could be Chaos. They could, say Chaos. They could be Loyalist. They could be whatever. And outside of stuff like the Dark Mechanicum and some of the Admix stuff, there wasn't a huge amount that you could go into in order to build your army. There was going to be cross-pollination no matter what you did. With Old World, you can't really have that. It's going to have to be each army is bespoke. Now, I'm convinced that's why Six of Sigmar's getting that massive overhaul that it's getting. So those Empire kits can be pulled back to being in the Old World and released as Empire again, which perfect sense. That makes perfect sense to me. I can imagine things like the gunnery truck wagon thing that they had. That'll probably get a new release.
War wagon.
The war wagon.
That's
classic.
Yeah, I mean,
at least in the video game, they're absolute garbage. Never take them. I don't know how they are in the actual tabletop. Jesus.
The only time I ever came across them was in 4th Ed, and they absolutely decimated my Skaven. And I mean, decimated.
I imagine you couldn't chase them down. Unless you had range, you're not chasing them.
Well, you think Skaven at that point, what you've got is plague monks with slingshots.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't do shit. No.
Nah, nothing.
And then someone have a great idea. Well, why not? If not a wagon, why not put the platform on a steam tank?
Yeah. Now, see, that won't happen because it's too early.
Yes.
So
Leonardo's not been born yet at this point.
Indeed, Leonardo. Yeah, fuck's sake. Oh man, I wrote an article for my Sunday musings for this weekend, and it's all about puns in names in 40k, and a few of them, I looked at them and just went, that can't be on purpose. It just can't be.
I'm disappointed that you missed out so many for Dogs of War characters, to be honest.
But I only did 40k. I didn't do a Warhammer Frontier Battle. Warhammer Frontier Battle will be one I do in the future. Fucking AstraZeneca was one that just blew my mind. Fucking Jesus. But anyhow, so that's kind of why I'm confused by the entirety of the Old World. I don't see how this is going to work as a release, because it's going to have to be so much, because you're restarting the entirety of a game from scratch. Now, I don't think there's going to be much in the way of new stuff for example, greenskins. They'll probably just repackage some of the Gloomspite, well, not the Gloomspite, but the older Night Goblin things.
Yeah. Oh God, they're so old.
But then that
will not die.
But that leads to that massive problem of. But then the Old World is launching with, in some cases, 15 to 20-year-old kits.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've never done that before with fantasy.
Yeah, but this isn't.
This isn't Sigma.
But this isn't. Yeah, well, very true. Very true.
How long has it taken to? We're still using some really old kits from that. I mean, look at the Doors of Cain.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, look at the freaking Gloomspite.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Fucking out. Look at the Skaven.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Like.
Yeah. Here's the problem with the Old World. By the time it comes out, I mean, the last game in the Total War Warhammer series is done. We're just basically waiting on DLC. The time to capitalize on the game's popularity is long since passed. This should have been out for Game 2.
Yes. But I think it's Game 2 that got them interested in doing this.
Certainly. Yeah. But the problem is, like, we're going to have only drop-off at this point. People going to be migrating from from video game to tabletop game, specialized tabletop game at that? I don't know. Yeah, and cynically, how much faith do you have that they'll actually keep it updated quickly?
Yeah, that's true.
Because GW is known, especially like last year, we complained about it all last year on Fluffenhammer. There was just 40k for the most part.
Yeah.
What did they do for Blackstone Fortress? When was the last Necromunda release? What was the last Titanicus release? You know, some games they're not doing too bad with. Like Warcry seems to be doing fine.
Yeah,
which is
Warcry's
nice.
doing fine.
That's a
Necromunda
much
actually,
smaller game.
Yeah.
Which is the problem. A lot of these other games are just much smaller scaled.
Yeah.
While, like you say, this has to be
massive.
even bigger than Horus Heresy, and Horus Heresy is pretty big in itself.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about rank and file, and that's the problem here. That rank and file games, by their very nature, they need blocks of units. So it's not like, you know, AOS, you can get away with having a couple of things where you've got like, I don't know, 10 loosely tied together skirmish miniatures all running around together, which that's a unit. That's fine. You can't have 10 Black Orcs.
No.
Because that's not a unit. It needs to be 30.
Mantic with Kings of War kind of solved that solution by making it much more of an abstract. So that...
Yeah.
And it meant that... And it just... You see so many people building really nice Kings of War armies where the regiments... You got a few... The outskirts are individual minis, but in the interior, they just go to town and create these crazy mini dioramas of blocks that are there until the regiment dies, effectively.
Yeah, I think the idea of the unit filler in the Kings of War games is a really smart one. I think it's a very, very cool idea, and I do like it. I like it a lot. And it's, I don't know, it's one of those things where, will a rank and file game sell now? Because no matter how you slice it, the bones of Warhammer Fantasy Battle are ancient.
Yeah,
and they're not going to redo the entire thing to make it more like AOS, because then it's not the old world.
No, I think they'd be having to redo the entire rank and file system, and again figure out how to make it more like the video game, I suppose. Because video games fun. The Total War games have always been mostly rank and file games, as far as I know. Yeah. And they're really well loved. So maybe the idea is to try and take some of the ideas from that and try and port them over to a tabletop setting. Because we still, like you say, we know nothing about the game. We don't even know about full miniatures. We've only seen literally shields. We've just seen more shields and more arms. We've seen, I don't think, any heads, no bodies. We don't know what the bases are like. Are they square? Are they circle? They have to be square if it's rank and file. Yeah.
I mean, I'm really hoping that they're like lines, in all honesty. So you can have like 5 or 6 things on a single miniature, on a single base. Even if you're using like, I remember doing this for my my Skaven years and years ago, having the monster base, if you remember those ones, and having 4 Skaven on the monster base, and they go into the middle.
They did have a specific regiment strip base you could use in 25 and in 20 and 25 mil.
Yeah,
because I've got an Empire army in my wardrobe that still uses those for pretty much all the center ranks.
That was about 7th ed that came out with.
Yeah,
because
you had the tray, and then they brought in the rank base at the same time.
The trays are so annoying. At least, like when I play them, whenever I move the tray forward, they'd all slide across the tray and slide off the tray. It's like, oh my god, no, stay in place, please.
Yeah, I tried to texture mine, which was a mistake.
Oh no!
Yeah, I regretted that.
Yeah.
Did you do it because you saw them in the magazine textured and you thought they look nice? Because I thought about doing it. I never bothered because I wasn't.
It was twofold. On the one hand, I tried to texture them because I saw it for the magazine, but also I tried to cut a couple of up to make a larger base because I wanted a nice big block of 30 halberdiers.
Ah, okay.
So I wanted to have a regiment tray that would fit them. And my god, that was the most frustrating part of my entire army to build. And bear in mind, I built it using most of the models were using the original Empire plastics, not the first time they redid them or the second time they redid them. I mean, the ones that had the really weird spear tips and fiddly arms, and they had metal upgrades for.
Yeah, the 98, 99 release.
Yes, yeah,
98, I think it was. Jesus Christ, I'm old.
I still have boxes of those Spruce Summer as well. To be fair, I still have boxes of all the Empire plastics somewhere.
It's weird because I came out of Warhammer for many a year and came back in again. There's a lot of stuff which I still think of as being quite recent.
Yeah.
And you realize it's like 22 years old. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my god. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It hurts.
Yeah. No, like it's one of those weird things, but it's the old world baffles me on a load of different levels, and I'm just not entirely sure.
I mean, I'll be brutally honest. I would probably buy this box set.
Yeah.
For the Bretonnians and the Kemrians, but not to play Old World.
Mhm.
I'd want to repurpose them for AOS.
Yeah, because AOS is a great system.
Yeah, and I could have a fun time kind of messing around with working out how to make them fit into one of the existing lists. So
Well, it's
You
really
can just
easy.
bash the Bretonnians onto the Crypt Ghouls, and there you go. It's law friendly and everything.
Well, you just run the Bretonnians as is, as Crypticals. And you're just like, well,
you need to change the bases.
No, true, yeah.
Because there's nothing in the Crypt Ghouls army that's on the kind of horse base.
Oh my god, can you imagine putting one of the horses on just like a single round 22mm base? It's just a normal everyday Cryptical. He just thinks he's on a horse.
You just cut the horse in half and paste one on one part and another on another part, and just have like two Crypt Ghouls poking out each end, so it's like they're pretending to be a horse.
My favourite kit bash I've ever made is the ghoul riding the hobby horse with the dead horse's head on the top. It is my favourite. Every time I look at him, I just have a little smile. It's like, he's fun.
Here's a question: when do you think we'll find out any like substantial stuff about this? Because I assume it's not going to be Adepticon. Like, when do you think we're going to hear about like not like this is the release date, but this is what the game is?
I'm going to guess at about September. And
yeah, that's fair.
This year. So you think it's going to be this year that we actually learn what the fuck this game is?
I think this September we'll get more information on it, more solid information. And I think that because by September the 10th ed release will be slowly starting to die down. He says, fucking 40k just won't leave space.
From the Space Marines.
When did Age of Sigmar? Not Age of Sigmar. Age of Darkness Horus Heresy box launch last year. That was what, May, June time?
Yeah, last June. It was the big summer release last year.
Yeah. So do we think this might be next year's big summer release? And then the year after be the AOS 4th edition?
I mean, that would make sense.
Because that seems to be the pattern they're in now.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem. That would make sense. That doesn't mean it'll happen.
Fair.
Yeah, very true.
But, I mean, they did say when they started off the Old World project that it would take
3 years.
Take a while.
Yeah, and we're kind of getting to that point now. So
yeah. I mean, we know that it's between 3 to 5 years from start to finish for the design process, depending on whatever it is that they're designing.
Fulgrim.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, some things obviously have to keep going back to the drawing board because they're just not sexy enough, I think. And
back to the closet with you, Fulgrim. Put them back in the closet, boys.
I wonder if there's like 10 or 12 different types of Fulgrim that have been shown. It's like, right, mate, this is the 8th time you've brought me a Fulgrim. This time you just brought me a spiked dildo. Can you just get Fulgrim right, please? I'm trying so hard, but you keep telling me he's not beautiful enough. Speaking of things that are beautiful, should we talk about some Warlord Titans?
Yes, let's.
So the 40 years of Warhammer continues to just be a thoroughly enjoyable little series. This time, it goes right back to Adeptus Titanicus, the first version of the Warlord Titan. And oh, God, did I get some nostalgia flashbacks from this little bugger.
Yeah.
You say wonderful, but is it also not horrifying as well?
Well, how old it is.
You go, oh man, it's these things. 40 years. Oh no. God, I'm dying. Help me.
So
I would how easy of a thing was to build. It's just like
Well, was it because it was metal, wasn't it? So it probably
plastic.
wasn't. It was plastic. Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. I thought these were like metal. I thought they might have been because I think they show like a clip from the Reaver, right? And the Reaver was metal.
Yeah, Reaver was metal. For Warhammer was metal.
Shit.
And there were a bunch of metal upgrades for the Warlord, but for Warlord itself was plastic.
It was fine. Oh, okay.
Actually, they mentioned in the article, the reason they had to go for a civil war was that they could only afford to tool one Warlord Titan.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford to make a separate one for the opposing force. So Civil War it is.
That's exactly it. Here's a fun one for you. If you go down the page, there is 2 of the wonderful mail order troll pages that has everything that you could buy as extras, right?
Yeah.
I browsed these pages so much as a kid.
I have
Oh,
in
yeah.
one of my white dwarfs, and I'll have to see if I can find it to take a photo of it, a list of every single Titan head that's on these pages, because I wanted to buy them just to make dreadnoughts and things with.
Hmm.
Right? Because I thought they'd look really cool as dreadnoughts. Never sent it off, never paid for it. But the reason I bring it up is, how much do you think it cost for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21? How much do you think it cost for 21 metal heads in
Combined together,
in 1990? I think it was. Maybe
£15.
Tenner?
It was £12.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
Oh,
£12
yeah.
was too much for me at age, well, we'll say 10 or 11. So it's like, oh god,
Well, you remember blister cards were like $5
yeah,
back in the day.
Well,
Yeah,
£6 for a big one.
my first minis were a couple of 2-packs of Terminators, which were like £2.50 a pop. And I think I bought that classic Terminator box with the Librarian and the Captain in for that was like a tenner. That was my big ticket birthday present I think that year.
Do you remember how much the plastic Rhino kit was at this time?
At this time, no,
Yeah.
I wasn't around for this time.
Okay.
I want to say £5 or £10.
Oh yeah, bang on, £5.
Because I'm pretty sure when I was getting into it, when the multi kits were just coming in for Space Marines, they were probably like 15, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
10 or 15.
Yeah, because it would have been that updated kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That original kit was £5 bloody.
Yeah.
I mean, they look nicer now.
Yeah, but £5.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It costs more to go and get like a sandwich and a drink from Tesco's. It's ridiculous. But anyhow, yes. Before I fall into the black hole and abyss that is aging, there's just so much here that's really cool. It makes me so happy to see these things. I am loving this 40 years of
Absolutely.
Warhammer. There's things that I hope they get to, but I would ask you guys: is there anything that you hope that they show?
Ooh. Yarrick. Original Yarrick.
Yep, right. I mean that's a classic. It's absolutely a classic. Andy?
Yeah, well, none of these are really from my era, so no, I suppose.
But it's for 40 years, so is there anything?
Yeah, it's from a
Oh, just anything
Yeah.
from 40 years. Oh, okay. How about like I don't care about it too much, but I think it would be interesting to kind of revisit it. The squat train from Epic.
Oh god, yeah, the land train.
Whatever it was called. I remember seeing it in the big like probably 95 and 97 catalog with the Bretonian find the Lizard Man on the front and going through and being like, that's silly, but I kind of like it. What are squats?
all those squat war machines were just bug nuts insane. It was brilliant.
Does anybody else find it hilarious that in the squat army there is an airship called the Overlord?
Yes.
It's one of those things where that can't just be a coincidence. It just can't be. The character Overlords have to be named after that airship. They have to be, or else my world makes no sense.
You know what they should do? 40 years of the Warp Spider. Then it just has Eldari players crying in the background.
Backed up by all the Phoenix Lords who haven't had an update yet.
Exactly, yeah. You got new kits. Just do the Phoenix Lords then, please. Spell Xenos.
Yeah. It's one of those things we do have a tendency to get annoyed at 40k for just taking up all the limelight, but fucking hell, the Eldari players just get it so rough.
I think just most Xenos players get it pretty rough.
I don't know, because like, the GC Locals get loads. The Orcs keep getting like decent refreshes.
The Orcs do, yeah.
Just think about it. But for Warp Spiders, I've only had a single release.
Mm-hmm.
For Howling Banshees, since the Warp Spiders came out, if I've got my numbers right, they have had at least 4 reed signs. 3 of those in metal, 1 of those in plastic. Not including their original kit. And the warp spiders don't even have a Phoenix Lord. Which we know is out there somewhere, but
Yeah.
let alone a redesign. And we know from all the other kits they've done for the Eldari ranges that a plastic warp spider kit would look awesome. But
Yeah.
hey ho.
You know there'll be a single warp spider in like a Kill Team box set or something.
Looks like RTLW it's one of these third-party companies. They've done a cracking take on warp spiders, where they've done for warp spiders, they've done an Exarch, and they've done a Phoenix Lord. And the Phoenix Lord is outstanding because they're teleporting out of someone's body. So there's just some legs there with this giant teleport effect around it. And this warp spider leaping through. It's brilliant.
That is very cool. I'll have to have a look for that.
Yeah, and they've made Fugan look amazingly badass.
No, I try not to look at third-party stuff. Not through any thing of I prefer Games Workshop. It's because I know my wallet will start screaming because some of the talent on display out there is insane.
Absolutely.
There's a guy.
I used to send you the Kickstarter stuff for the orcs and goblins and trolls. I stopped doing that because I was like, I can't keep being mean to him.
There's a guy out there who does.
That's fair.
There's a company out there called Grimforge, and they do Empire-ish. They do Mordheim miniatures for all intents and purposes. And the stuff that they do is gorgeous. It is absolutely just top notch. I had to unsubscribe from their Facebook page because otherwise things would go horribly wrong for me. Oh god, yeah, they just released. The last thing I saw was it was a town crier and musician. You should get excited about something like that, but they were just full of Mordheim humour, and love it. Things that aren't full of humour, though. Moving on to the next story. It's a big eye. It's a great big eye. Now, what could it mean?
Reflection in it.
What could it mean? What do you think is going on here? Do you think that, as some people say, it's a new Space Hulk? Or could it be that the rumour of a Tyranids vs. Terminators box set is true? Gentlemen, discuss.
I'd love it to be a new version of Space Hulk. I really would, but I think it's Tentved.
Yeah.
I can't see it being anything else at this point.
No,
Blood Angels and Tyranids, it seems to be their go-to at the moment for Tyranids' main opponent. So,
yeah, it's weird, though, isn't it? It feels that it's one of those things where, because I'm old and close to death and mostly made of dust and hate, and I've been around doing things in this hobby for a very long time. But why isn't it Deathwing?
I mean, you could paint them to be Deathwing.
Yeah, I know you can. But even then, it's not proper Deathwing, is it? Because they're all monasteric, and they just wander around being all like, "Oh no, we can't tell anyone about the fallen." As they wave their little Primaris hands like freaking T-Rexes in an all-you-can-eat buffet.
They got rid of the Native American stuff a long time ago because don't appropriate other people's cultures, Gruff. Don't do that. Even though it was a really interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I
don't mean appropriate people's cultures. I mean, the thematic stuff. I thought visually it was really interesting.
It was, and I think it worked really well for the short story that we all know I adore to bits. But it annoys me when you've got, we made up the story of Cloud Runner to get people off the trail. Fuck you. Fuck you. Yeah, we're more like Templars and things. Fuck you.
See, it'd be great if they came out and said, well, actually, that, you know what we told you? That the whole thing was a lie? The lie was a lie. Ha-ha!
How good would it be, right? Because we know that there's something going on in the Rock where Luthor's vanished, right? I want a door to open and Cloud Runner to walk through just going, fuck you! I'm back, bitches!
I mean, at the moment, the Rock seems to have a revolving door, given how many people keep breaking into the damn thing.
Could we not have it so that the Dark Angels are the Knightly Order, but then for the Space Marine chapter, Deathwing is its own chapter rather than part of the Dark Angels. It's its own force. Then
Well,
you could do it that way, but that would mean they'd actually have to invest like separate money into making interesting, specific, not Dark Angels look for the Deathwing.
Yeah,
which they did it for the Dark Templar, and the Grey Knights, but I don't think they'd be willing to do it for too many other extra chapters. That's up
Sorry,
to you.
I'm just trying to imagine a chapter of Space Marine just all equipped in Terminator armor. Give me a moment.
That's a good chapter.
But I'm fairly sure that the entire Tale of Cloud Runner and what happened there, that's been like taken by the Lamenters, I think now. Is it the Lamenters that have their entire
size of the Emperor of ones who had their homeworld completely murked by the Nids?
Was it the size of the Emperor?
Yeah,
I always think it's the Lamenters because they're just so sad.
Well, the Lamenters just keep running into shit that will gut them at the first opportunity because that's what they seem to be for nowadays. Since they found out that they're Blood Angels, that seems to have done bad things to them. The Scythes, because their homeworld was Sofa, which is what drew the Nids to the galaxy in the first place.
Whoops.
Yeah. Poor Dantiok. He meant well. And yeah, have you guys read the Belisarius Call?
Yes.
Book?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because it kind of gives a riff on the Deathwing origin, but equally not, because it's an odd one, because Sofa's a much more advanced planet than the Deathwing homeworld.
Yes, yeah, because that was
it
was Native American.
Yeah, it was much more of a traditional Genestealer cult infiltration, in all honesty.
Yeah, it didn't have that. I think that's what I really like. There's a line in the story of no orc placed stone upon stone in such a manner, brother, and it's that type of stuff. I find it really. I don't want to say I like it because that's the wrong term entirely, because it's horrible. But you know what I mean? I really resonate with...
It's well told.
Yeah, but I resonate with the way that this insidious infection took hold of their civilization and made their very society sick. And I really, really like that. And the cure is basically, in a lot of ways, worse than the actual sickness, because they just blow up the city by the end of it, and it's take them all back out into the plains, and we're going to learn to live as we did. Fucking hell, we're so used to going to the pub, you know. And it's stuff like that, and I think that's where the entire Deathwing thing comes from. It's really sad to lose such a powerful piece of work in that manner. And I don't think the size of the Emperor have it. They've got the Genestealer cult infested their world, and they lost everything, and Tyranids came and ate the rest of it. And but it's one of those weird things of. So, did the size of the Emperor have Genestealer members? Because it's one of those things.
Never totally,
no,
I mean the implication is that one of their members may have been infected.
Yeah,
Possibly their chapter master, or someone who became close to a chapter master.
But it never comes out and says it, which is one of the more infuriating things about it.
Yeah, but that's kind of one interesting thing about Genestealer cults, that it's not just about creating the next generation. The kit itself does stuff to whoever it affects mentally.
Yeah, it changes the parameters of your thinking completely.
And it's quite interesting to think what that would do to a Space Marine.
Yeah.
They've touched on it in the past in passing. Because I remember the old Death Watch story from, I think, in Warhammer Monthly.
They
did it to one of their poor members. Poor bastard. But it's not really been explored too much. It's actually quite interesting when they do deal with a Space Marine breaking their brainwashing or having it overwritten. It doesn't happen a great deal. But when it does, it's always, that's interesting.
That's not pleasant.
No.
Andy, what are your thoughts on Tyranids versus Terminators, the brand new game from MB Games?
I mean, if it's just Space Hulk, I'm down with that. But it probably won't be Space Hulk. It'll probably just be a box game, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know, it's about time that we got Terminators. It's been way too long.
Yeah.
Nids, it does not look like it's going back to the style that
No.
I want, so I couldn't care less.
No, it's
Unless they look stupid and weird and 90s as shit, then they just look at like a homogenous blob, and I find that a bit boring. And I always will, unfortunately.
Yeah, we share a very same passion when it comes to the Tyranids, Andy, where we want them to look gloopy.
You need to look fun. Everything needs to look different because it's all been designed to be different.
Yeah.
They all have this specialized function. They don't need to look the same.
Yeah. No, that's it's a shame. I want my lictors to look like they're always wet. I want my Tyranids to have their lungs pulsating inside their chests, and you can see it because that's fun. And I want the weapons to look like you really don't want to touch them.
And bring back the Fat Patriarch.
Oh god, yeah, Fatriarch is just the best.
Yeah, and you can give him like a packet of plastic crisps to have in his hand or a pork pie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the current Patriarch model. It's great.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, but it's not fat though.
No,
he's not a big fat boy in a big fat chair.
No,
No.
that's
Can you imagine how cool would it be if they dug out the old tooling and for a limited time said, "You want classic Tyranids? Here you go."
But would they
And
do?
it's all
How would they make them?
Well, the original Tyranid Warriors were a plastic sprue.
they were.
Yeah,
Oh, were they? Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
Because
And a really nice sprue. Really, you had bone swords and death spitters.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of kit on there. So, I
What about
most
weird ones like biovores and for some reason spores metal? Weren't spores metal for no real
Yeah,
reason?
Yeah.
There's
Spore
no
bonds are
reason
metal.
they shouldn't have been plastic. That was also the biovore should have just been plastic as well. It was strange.
It's down to how the Tyranids were released. Because if you remember, those plastic Tyranids were released for Tyranid Attack.
Yeah.
So there were metal Tyranids, and then they released Tyranid Attack, and then they sold the plastic Tyranid Attack miniatures in a box set by themselves.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why
And they were quite a nice little kit, to be fair. And
they were lovely.
And then for some reason they redid them in metal and looked goofier.
Yeah, it's because they had that massive Bugs Bunny tooth at the front. And it just
And the Venom Cannon never looked right.
No.
The Hive Tyrant Venom Cannon looked ace.
That was good.
That Hive Tyrant looked fantastic. But
Yep.
the Metal Warriors they did between second ed and the third edition revamp were just like, oh.
Do you remember that third edition Tyranid Codex?
The first one?
Yeah. Oh, no,
yes, where you had to add every weapon added onto the strength of the existing stat line, and you had to work out each stat individually, pretty much.
Oh God!
It was lovely and customizable, but God, was it broken! It was so broken.
And then they went way too far the other way with the next one, where they made it completely unmutable, which made the Tyranids the most stationary force you could buy.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it was the irony that the Chaos and Imperial Guard, their initial codexes were a bit meh, so their 3.5/4th edition codexes were just the most deep toolboxes imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Nids, their 3rd edition codex was way too flexible. And then they didn't hit it with a nerf hammer, they shot it out of a cannon.
Do you guys remember, I don't know if you do or not, the White Dwarf battle report that came with the release of those Tyranids? And it was Tyranids versus Imperial Guard. It may be like too much of a deep dive for you guys, which I totally understand.
I think I do.
But it sticks in my mind because it's a fucking slaughter fest.
Was this for 2nd edition Guard? 2nd edition?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was when the Nids had their wonderful table at the back for Jones is acting strangely.
Yes, that's the one.
I loved. I didn't play Tyranids, but I loved to be playing against them because it was just you just never knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine it'd just be good to fight them as well because there's lots of things to kill.
The problem was that they were really hard to fully take down.
Yeah. This is when the Screamer Killer had toughness 10.
Yep.
And
if you remember, it was in the rules as well that a charge by something like the Screamer Killer, because it was basically a tank, it had a battering ram rule.
Yes.
Oh God.
So it could run through a unit, destroy that unit, stop, turn around, and fire.
I had one flip over a Chimera once, and I mean that literally. It did enough damage, it flipped the Chimera. The only time I've ever killed a Screamer Killer in 2nd edition was I had an Inquisitor Lord and some Grey Knights teleport down and lob Vortex at the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it only died because the vortex scattered backwards onto it.
I'm always one of those people who say that, yes, some codexes are a little over the top and they have a little bit too much killing power. It happens, you know. But I think in the case of the Tyranids, it kind of has to be that way. They have to be, I mean, built-in
Yeah.
weaknesses, absolutely, but they have to be terrifying to face. And
Yeah,
that
that's the whole
second
shtick.
ed, that second ed codex got it perfectly. Because I mean, you took out the Hive Tyrant, and that was it. There was a very large chance that your army was going to attack each other, or you took out the Screamer Killer, and you just peppered everything with long range weaponry, stayed out of range of the close combat, and it was fine. But if you tried to get it hand to hand, or if you got in range of like something like the Spitter, Jesus Christ, you were doomed.
And some of the stuff that Spore Mines could do was just like,
Do you remember the D6 scatter dice modification for the Spitter? Where you'd
wait,
shoot
didn't I remember the Venom Cannon used the old Fud Gun template,
Yeah.
which was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. The Spitter could have an ammunition or a modification where when it killed somebody, it sprouted vines or like tendrils, and it attacked people around it.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. It's just mental. But
I
anyhow,
lost squads to that back in the day.
yeah, it was all
I've
good.
never laughed so much as playing one of against Tyranids in second edition.
So basically what we're saying is, we all think this is going to be Warhammer 10th, and it'll be announced at Adepticon next week. Now the question is, what is going to be the big changes? Now it seems to be, from what the rumours are, and I'm only putting this out there because I'd be interested to see how right a lot of these are, that it's going to be simplified from the current edition of 40k, which, to be honest, is no bad thing, because every time I've played a modern version of 40k, it has been a lot of stuff you've got to keep in your brain.
Yeah, I can get that. I mean, looking at the latest Guard Codex and what people have been saying about the World Eaters, especially what George was saying last week about it, it does feel like they have been stripping a lot of the fat out of these books, which I get on one hand. On the other hand, I think that they're maybe being a bit too heavy-handed because there is stuff. I understand pulling out stuff like stratagems and warlord traits and things like that. Moving a lot of that stuff into the Crusade rules would probably make more sense because it fits more into that style of gameplay, and it reduces the bookkeeping for the core game that they want to keep as a quotation marks competitive system.
Yeah.
But I do feel that by removing some of the options for units, especially when, all right, take Guard especially. From the Guard squad you get in the new Cadian squad, that unit could be used to build veterans, special weapon squads, your regular Cadian squads, add in the heavy weapon from the heavy weapon kit to get an infantry squad. So many options from prior editions, and they've just taken those out entirely. And And one of the joys of playing Guard was building characterful veteran squads, and I understand they wanted to kind of remove some of the units that were a bit abused, because I know that in Guard, especially, special weapon teams could be abused. Command squads with all special weapons were liable for that as well. But that's more a case of they need to just tweak things. Instead, they've just gone in and gone, right, you can't have this anymore, can't have that. It's like Tempestus Scions. You can take they've made the Tempestus and Command Squad a unit again with the Tempestal Prime, same as they did with the Platoon Command Squad in the regular unit infantry. The Tempestal Prime, his option, he can either take a bolt pistol, a plasma pistol, or the goddamn baton. He can't take any close combat weapons. And I know for a fact, I've got converted primes with close combat weapons, and other people have as well. And there's whole chunks of lists that people are going, oh, right, pull off the arms, what can we do this time? And that's frustrating. And I know that there are World Eater players who've been waiting for their codex and opened it and gone, well, why don't we have options for this? Why,
Yeah,
why can't we have a World Eater Priest? Why can't we have a... Why do we not have cult Terminators? Why?
It's a fair point. It's. I think there's a happy medium to be found, and I don't think it's an easy one to get to.
No.
And I think what the major issue is, how do you cater to the two prongs of the hobby, which is
Yeah.
the fluffy player and the meta player?
Absolutely.
And that's a very, very difficult thing to do. And I think this edition that we've had has been very meta-based.
Mm.
It's been army list based. So I'm hoping that the next one is a bit more fluffy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do have a theory, because...
it's a demon, a dancing demon. No, something isn't right there.
Well done. I was waiting for that. But no, after seeing the Votan Codex,
Mhm.
and subsequently for Guard and for World Eaters, I think all three of those books are on the same cycle as Sisters were after they had their big revamp. I don't think these are the full releases for those three armies.
No, no,
Especially just how close they are to the release of 10th.
Yeah.
Votan is a very lean list as it is, but it's missing a lot of stuff that you'd expect the list to have in some way, even if it doesn't match one for one other armies.
Yeah.
I mean, I fully expect to see an Iron Eagle gunship at some point for them.
But it's strange that there isn't some kind of heavy flyer.
Guard, they may not do much, but I'm still thinking there's some options they haven't released yet that are coming down the pipe, because I could see them easily doing more regiments, like the Death Corps, as a single plastic kit, because that seems to be a good model they're working to nowadays, especially with how Warcry's done for them.
Yeah.
And those kits. And the World Eaters seems like it's very much a case of, okay, this is ground zero. This is the baseline.
This is a gets you by.
Yeah, we're going to give you this now because you've been waiting long enough. This is your bread and butter. We're going to keep a few things back, and then once we've done the initial 10th releases, give it a bit of a buffer. Say 12 months' time, here comes the 10th edition codex with the next wave of stuff to fully flesh the army out. That's my theory anyway. I freely admit I could be entirely wrong on that score, but it's a suspicion I've been having.
Andy can tell me I'm wrong here if he so wishes, but I think you're being very, very lenient with the 10 months, because do you remember the Lumineth?
Yeah,
the High Lords of the Lumineth, the Realm Lords.
Yeah,
yeah.
And the Sisters was less than a year as well, to be fair.
Yeah, because when they're only doing one new character or a very small amount of new stuff and just a new codex, they'll fart that out relatively quickly. And initially, it doesn't sound like a bad idea, but to me, it sounds like piecemealing. You know how they do it in video games? How they go, "Oh, here's the full game. What can we cut out and then sell to them later as DLC?" That's kind of how that kind of comes across to me. We could give you the full roster, but what if we just hold off that precinct till we put it together with another army and do what we do with the where you get a set of like 2 units and this brand new character. So if you want to get this brand new character, you have to get this expensive box set.
Yeah, I mean, that's annoying. But I do think GW are working a little bit to try and manage their SKUs better, which is a factor that, as fans, we don't always consider. That
no, we can only talk about it from the consumer angle, of course.
Yeah, but
and it's in this times it's they're not super good because people are struggling generally.
No, but I know that there's a few companies like Corvus Belli with Infinity and whatnot where they've been working to kind of reduce down their SKU count so that their retail partners don't have as hard a time stocking everything. So
that's a really good thing to hear.
Yeah, so they've been compressing kits down. So quite a few of their kits now, blisters that were single blisters, are now they've either been merged into packs of multiple miniatures, or so different miniatures to give you a bit of a variety pack to add to an existing force, or they've been taking models that are basically different loadout options for the same profile and putting those in a single blister. And that's actually done quite a lot to. They've been putting new stuff out every month still, but they've also been trying to do at least 2 or 3 repacks every month, which keeps their SKU count down, as well as they rotate stuff out of general release. They retire certain forces. You can still buy them, or you can still play them, but they're not actively manufacturing them at that point. So what's on the shelves is what's on the shelves. And I know there's a few other companies who do a similar thing, and because they're a bigger consideration than a lot of these other companies, it doesn't surprise me that GW do perhaps look at it in a case of, well, we don't want to flood the market with an entire, as much as a lot of people would buy an entire release, they don't want to flood the market, because one thing that leaves potentially their retail partners with a massive stock that they then have to buy back, potentially. And they don't initially know what is going to be a big seller from those initial releases, if it's a new if it's a faction getting a revamp or whatever. So
yeah, but usually wasn't the idea that they'd release the codex in the main army, and then like within the next month, the rest of the things within that codex would be available. But it was all still there. It just wasn't all in one go sold.
Yeah.
The reason that doesn't happen anymore is to stop third parties from making miniatures for profiles that they don't have models for yet.
They just also happen to benefit monetarily from doing this as well, so it's a nice bonus for them, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult one to.
If
really
those units came on their own, I would be much more forgiving, but they don't. They don't come on their own. They come in a big box set where you might already have your full army, and then you need to buy extra units, and then half of an army, so you either have to find someone to split it with, or you have to just suck it up. If it was if they were sold on their own, I'd be like, okay, that's fair enough. It's not the best thing, but okay. But this feels more like we can milk the teats for a little bit more money if we do it this way, because those units don't usually come out separately for a long time.
No,
the combat patrol, what was the Thousand Suns guy who's only in the combat patrol, because he's just kind of recently be sold on his own.
I can't think what his name is, but I know exactly who you mean.
There's a fuck ton of like heroic not chain rasps, 9-taunt characters who you still can't buy. They were only in they were only in certain box sets.
Yeah,
insanity. So then there's also that risk of the fear of missing out, FOMO. If you don't buy this box set, maybe it will be like that. Maybe it won't be. You might not be able to get this hero, and you might find out that it's a really good, useful hero that you need for whatever comp you're doing. I don't know.
I always find that FOMO is one of those weird things where if you want it, find a way to get it. If you don't want it there and then let it go.
Yeah,
and
I think that's hard to tell someone, because I'm sure there are a lot of stuff that you want right now, but you can't get, so you have to prioritize.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just one of those things. I know I've been guilty of it in the past. Absolutely, I have. But as I've got older, it's just one of those things where, no, I can't actually afford to do that. So, oh well, it's a shame, but I don't know. It's one of those things. I think I'm an old man with a small child that makes me tired, and my priorities changed at that point.
well, that's the thing. It's the priority. Some people really want to focus on the hobby. Some people know that they can't. Some people feel slighted when they can't get access to a thing that they'd like to get.
Oh yeah,
when it's hidden behind something.
Yeah, and I think there should be some kind of hard and fast rule of 6 months after a box releases, that stuff gets released by itself.
Yeah, because that's not the case. It doesn't seem to be the case a lot of the time.
No, and I think that'd be a fair way of doing it.
Yeah, it would be better if that was the case, but currently doesn't seem to be the case. I'm just a lot less willing to believe in a company is looking out for the customer and not for itself. Yeah, I just don't believe it. I think the company will always look out for itself and its shareholders far above and beyond the happiness or the contentment of its customers.
Yeah, or its customer base. Yeah.
Yeah, don't say consumers though, because that's really gross. Makes you sound like you're a cow, like you're just there to feed them money and nothing else.
I don't know. I would quite like to feast upon the entrails of various shareholders as a consumer. So, looking at you, fucking British Gas.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, well,
fucking cunts. Anyway, should we get into something golden?
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah. So, bit of a story happened this week.
I love this. How this happened.
I've got a feeling this was on purpose. I'm sure it was. But anyhow, so earlier on this week, a man bought Dante. He gained not a Dante he was expecting, but a brand new, unseen Dante. And as a result, a little video came out with the amazing line of the legendary commander Dante has been deployed early.
I like the idea that the guy got this. I think it would have been funny if he went, I don't want this one. I wanted the one that I wanted. I wanted the old one.
Yeah.
I had an idea.
I only wanted it for bits.
I just love the idea that so few people are buying the classic Dante figure, which, let's be honest, most 40k players must have at some point had that figure. I know I did.
Yeah.
Twice.
Can you actually buy in MIM stores? Because I know that like some character things you
I
cannot
think he's
get.
direct only at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that must be the case.
In Failcast, unfortunately.
Oh no! Oh
Yes.
God!
It's slightly better than Failcast, thankfully. It's
Is it? Oh,
it's the new resin that they use.
Oh, okay.
They stopped using that old mix a while back now. Thank fuck.
Still resin, but yeah.
But I love the idea that they might be selling so few of the old Dante that the poor picker just went to the shelf marked Dante and grabbed the first thing on it, and it was the new one. That tickles me so much.
I'm sure it's on purpose. It has to be, because the idea that they would accidentally have one of these Dantes on the picking floor, there's just a few too many steps to have taken for this to be the case. That doesn't stop it from being a load of fun, though, and it is
Absolutely.
a lot of fun, and that makes me happy. So yeah, the new Dante miniature is rather nice. Yeah, it's another character that's crossed the Rubicon, because the other big Swingin D in this show, he's not allowed to die. Dante is not allowed to. I like the fact that his face does look like he's just going, "Let me die."
Yeah. I have to say, part of me is disappointed that it's not just them redoing the Firstborn scale version of Dante as a Firstborn Marine, that they have Primarised him, because they keep telling us this process has a really bad success rate, but everyone keeps going through it with no problems.
Yeah.
Well, all the important people, at least.
Including Dante, who wants to die.
And it's the oldest living Space Marine. You'd think if there was anyone who was going to cark it on the table, it'd be old Louis here.
Yeah. I mean, look at him. It's just like, my bones hurt. And I know these are new bones, but I'm so old that my new bones hurt. It's just, it makes me laugh.
Part of me does find it weird that they've taken the death mark and slapped it onto a Mark 10 helmet.
Yeah, that's something about the design I don't like. I don't think that helmet looks good.
That looks really weird.
Yeah.
Do you find, looking at that helmet, the way that it's all set up, that it looks like it should spin around saying the words guilty or innocent?
Yes.
I can see it, yeah.
It's just the way that the ear muffs sit. It just makes me think he's got like three faces. Which I would love to see a Space Marine helmet with three faces. That'd be amazing. Guilty or innocent. Yeah, it's a nice mini. I totally agree with you about the way that they've done the helmet. I think the helmet looks just so unwieldy. Because it does look like the death mask has just been placed onto a helmet. It doesn't look like it's integrated at all. It's just like, if you got a screwdriver, you could just kind of peel it back off.
Yeah,
it looks like the meme on the internet, and I saw this earlier today, where it's the meme of the crying person, but they've super glued like a happy face over the top.
Yeah,
yeah. And it really
enough.
does stand out when you compare it, because they've got the comparison of the old model and the new one. And it's just like they could have just taken that head, jizzied up the Iron Halo, and kept it as is.
Yeah, because that's a specialized helmet, right?
Yeah.
On the original one. Yeah.
How good would it have been if it was just exactly the same helmet, which didn't fit correctly, and it was just like kind of sitting on the top of his head at a jaunty angle?
Or what if his head's just really small? He's got a Primaris body but a Forceborn head. So he's got a teeny head.
I mean, I'd be in for that. Like, it's got like Johnny Bravo style head.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
In fairness, all the Primaris Space Marine heads are pretty much the same size as the Firstborn heads.
Oh God. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you guys here, though. Dante, as much as he is an iconic look, and as much as I will never say that he's not a great sculpt, I've never liked him because he always looks far too naked. I know it's all armor, and I know it's all sculpted on armor, but his legs make me feel very uncomfortable.
To make you question things.
Um,
I found the meme. I'll put it in the text chat. Hang on.
only that it makes me think of, like, you know when you see.
You can use that image for the show.
Yeah,
Love it.
I will use exactly that image for the.
Mm.
I might even color it. You know when you see, like, guys who are in their 70s but go jogging a lot.
Okay.
That's where his legs remind me of. There's just something.
No fat.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too sinewy, and just you don't want to stand too close to them in case
It probably
they
doesn't help if they've gone for that old school non-metallic metal gold.
Yeah, it just it makes me feel uncomfortable.
They could have done something a bit more interesting with the pose, but they were going for almost the exact same pose as the original model. So I get it, but I would have liked a bit more of a, I don't know, more actiony kind of pose rather than him lightly balancing on the tip of the fallen over bit of rock.
I mean, I do wonder how big a connection point that is between the foot and the rock, or if it's one solid piece with the foot sticking out of this rock on the sprue.
I would imagine it has to be that, right?
That's going to be a pain in the ass otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
It just got me thinking there. Normally, when these guys cross the Primaris or the Rubicon, the sculpts are based on a existing piece of work, usually by Mark Gibbons. But of course, Dante doesn't have one, does he?
Does he not?
No.
Oh.
At least not one by Mark Gibbons.
That's right, because Gibbons' artwork in the Angels of Death Codex was of Mephiston.
Yeah.
And of Azrael.
Yeah.
Dante hasn't actually had an awful lot of artwork.
No, he hasn't.
The most iconic piece from him at the moment is probably from the cover of,
his
the
book.
Dante novel.
Yeah. Aye. It's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? So yeah, that's probably why the pose doesn't work for us, because it's not based on a piece of Mark Gibbons art. So, oh man, Mark Gibbons, you might want to draw a piece of Dante for us now. Right, so I think we've got one more piece of news, which isn't a huge amount, and it's just some AOS type goodness. And all it is, it's just talking about Khorne and Slash and what they've been up to during the era of the Beast. And it's quite a fun little look. There's some great AOS naming conventions going on here. The Butcher Folk of Hammerhal. That's the porcine deity known as King Cleaver. Yeah, that's what I like. That's why I love AOS. It's so metal.
Yes. Gluteus Oscullion, the Grand Gourmand.
It's so good. It really is, isn't it? 40k doesn't have just throwaway names as good as AOS. AOS always has just such a wonderful turn of phrase when it comes to its naming conventions that's just so much better. And of course, all the stuff that's going on here, you got everything.
All the artwork pieces are really, really quite lovely.
They are.
In a really disturbing kind of way.
I like the difference between the Khorne and the Celestia. The Khorne is very brutalist. It's got a very brutalist, hard edge, whilst the Celestia stuff has much softer colours, much softer edges and lining. I think that's quite nice to see. And the big tower that they've got here, that's a dog's penis. That's
yeah.
That's
the Red Rocket.
Yeah, that's some lipstick just coming straight out. That's there's no two ways around that one. That's just a big old cock.
Yeah, that's someone spent too much time in the Geiger portion of the influences box.
But only one Geiger book. It's just here's that one where which Geiger book is it where he has all the babies choking on condoms? Here it is. Right, I'm going to use this as nothing but this as my as my influences.
Sorry, I'm trying to imagine now GW have a mood room for the art team. One wall is just Geiger.
Well,
and a sign saying, do not read for more than 10 minutes.
But actually, when it comes to the art, there's a really interesting thing I've noticed here, and it makes me very happy. I don't know if you guys noticed it as well, but they have moved away from the AOS art style.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Lumineth are dying. I was going to say, yeah, I'm pretty happy about that as well.
Yeah.
Why do you want the Lumineth to die, Andy?
It funds the elves, isn't it?
All right, I thought you just meant as a release, as a box set.
Oh, no.
Fucking Lumineth.
Let's be honest, but they are kind of assholes.
Oh, absolutely. They
Even more
are
than most elves.
Yeah, they are the most assholiest elves who've ever assholed. Honestly, I feel that when D&D redid Dragonlance, Games Workshop was watching going, oh, you think you can make your elves real dickheads? oh, hold my beer.
Tetless, come here. Sort out this problem. He's got this.
Hey, Techless, try and make all these elves really, really nice people. Hey, problem solved.
What went wrong? Oh, Tetless did it, okay.
Yeah, God damn it. But yeah,
It says a lot when your most relatable elf character is probably Malarian, the half dragon thing.
Show us him, cowards.
I know.
Do something with him, you fucking cowards. Anything.
Do you remember, Andy, during lockdown, we were talking about, well, it looks like the Shadow Elves are not far off release.
Ah.
They made them all disciples of Marathi instead.
They're all hanging out with Fulgrim. They're like, no, we'll wait our turn.
Just
When?
sitting here waiting for new fucking Skaven clan rats. Come on, you cowards. Do it.
Adam, they'll never do more Skaven's clan rats because they realise they couldn't break their design team.
Well, the thing is, in the latest Skaven book, you can actually run a army without any clan rats whatsoever. So I'm fairly convinced that that's just going to be the way it's going to work.
They're just going to delete clan rats entirely.
I think so. I think they're going to keep that box set there if anybody wants to be stupid and just have all those. I hate those new clan rats. Well, I say new. I hate the current clan rats. I've talked about this on many a time. Just because they're all built for rank and file, they're so fucking boring to paint on round bases.
What if narratively the Skaven have a Highlander event where only one rat can rule all of the clan rats? So all the clan rats have to kill each other and slave rats.
Does that mean Thankwall wins? Because Thankwall.
No. He's not a clan rat and he's not a slave.
I get
so it's those ones have to fight, and then you have like the ultimate clan rat, and it's a character, but it's just like a champion or something like that. He's killed 5,000 of the clan rats, and this one's the ultimate slave. He's had sex with as many clan mothers as possible, and he's willing to do anything. But he's also killed a lot of other slave rats as well. He'd do anything, anything.
I'm all in for that. That's a beautiful idea, and perfection.
Yeah.
So honestly, I just look at the Skaven that came up Blood Bowl, and I just weep.
It's like the Skaven Underworlds.
Yeah, they were good. Well, the second one, I didn't really like the first one, which seemed to be a little bit more nude. They were almost like the fire dwarves. They were a little bit on the I don't know if it was just the paint, but they looked like they were in the skivvies. Like no one gave them pants. The second ones were good. They were really good. Yeah.
Right, and then you look at the actual box set for builds the majority of your army, and he's like, you said about the night goblins as well, though. Just, oh no, I can't. Why are these less interesting than the old ones? The old two-part.
At least the night goblins are always smiling.
True. Yeah, you just got the same fucking smile 72 times.
They're always smiling. Do you want me to send you that meme of Dante again? They hide their tears because they want more mushrooms, and they're not allowed more mushrooms. They want more squigs, squig shrooms, rock shrooms.
Yeah, you got the Swiggerland rules out there now, so yeah, more squigs, just more squigs. In fact, no more goblins, only squigs.
Yeah, have a tree squig. Have a squig catapult where it's a big like rock squig, but it's able to throw other squigs.
Well, they've got the Squigapult, which is a big squig that spits out other squigs.
Okay, yeah, that works too.
Yep, just like picks them in his mouth and spits them out.
I've been looking through the first issues of Stormbringer, the new partworks for AOS, which, by the way, the first issue was actually quite nice.
Yeah, I bought two of them.
Yeah.
What was in it?
It was
the boss and the Stormcast mage from Dominion.
Oh, okay.
And then that poster of the cover to the book is mega. But I love the little insert with your armies bit.
Yeah,
It shows you exactly what you're getting for both forces, and the amount of stuff for the forces of destruction is bonkers.
It's massive. It's a huge amount. I mean, I'm not going to go weekly with Stormbound. No,
Stormbringer.
Stormbringer. The only other thing I was thinking of was Stormfront, and it was no. That's definitely not that. That's
No.
something else entirely. No, not good. Issue 2 of Twister, starring. I was looking at it, and there are bits I'm probably going to keep an eye out for in W.H. Smith's to see if they get them in. But I'm not going to go weekly for it because Jesus Christ, that just gets way too expensive.
No Undead, don't care.
Yeah, there is no Undead. No.
I kind of have gone. I've gone premium because you get
Yeah.
Condists.
Yeah.
And there's also dragons, and I want to do an army of just all Stormcast dragons
Yeah.
because I'm a bad man.
I mean, absolutely. The premium, if you can afford to do the premium thing, that really does make it worth it. Just for what you get. I mean, you've got the big old hungry cabbage for the Oryx. You've got,
Yes.
let's say, the dragons.
You got Guntaller and some floaty dwarves.
Yep.
And a bunch of trolls.
Yep. I mean, yeah.
That's not bad, actually.
No, not at all. It's less than what you got for the last one.
Yeah, the last one was all. It was like with.
You got to start collecting boxes, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think this one's a bit cheaper, isn't it? Or is it?
It's still £2 extra an issue, but it's better than what they initially offered, because initially you were just going to get the missing sprues from Dominion for the Orcs and Stormcast. That's what they initially showed that they were going to put in there.
Yeah.
And I think they had feedback and went, maybe not.
No,
let's change that.
Yeah,
let's give everyone a big honking dragon instead.
Yeah, let's give everyone an angry lettuce. Come on.
Yes.
I love that angry lettuce.
Yeah, it's good the fact they seem to give you most of the big ticket items as well, because for the Night Hunt they gave you Olinda, but they didn't do the Ghost card, did they?
No, it was weird. They gave you the Mortis engine.
That's right, yeah.
Which I've kept many just because you can use it as two different vampire units.
Yeah, loads, yeah.
But it was a very weird. That was a very weird selection of stuff in there. I mean, they didn't even give any of the Nighthorn. Well, other than the Briarthorn and the Briarthorn Queen and the Banshees, there weren't any of the other undead Underworld sets, but you got all of the Stormcast Underworlds.
Well, I think that's more like there was loads of Stormcast Underworld sets, and there was only I think there was only her.
Well, no, because they could have thrown in the Sepulchral Guard, which
but they're not Nighthaunt.
No, but
I think that's probably. I think that's the logic, though. They were like, they're not ghosts, so no. Yeah. While all the Stormcast was just Stormcast, it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, Stormbringer though seems to just. But I think there's 3 Underworld forces in the order, and then you just get all the greenskins.
Yeah, they're doing more Grand Alliance rather than singular army, which I think is a better way to go. Especially if most people have loads of Stormcast anyway.
I've always thought the Grand Alliance idea was such a great one, and I wish they kind of did more with it.
Yeah,
because you can you can build really interesting armies just by having these alliances.
Yeah, and it's part of why I like what I've read about Cities of Sigmar, as it currently stands, where most of the cities are these big melting pots. I know it's so we can use units from all the old Warhammer armies, but it's actually, if it goes back to something, part of the thing that kind of helped get me into the mindset of AOS back in the first Realm Slayer audio drama, where Gotrek wakes up in a prison cell next to an orc he had a bar fight with in Hammerhall, and it's just the idea that orcs are a part of the world. They're not good or evil, and they could turn up in anywhere. And it's part of the setting I wish they'd do more with, because they kind of made it back to being very binary, where greenskins.
They have in this edition. It's gone. The era of the beast has been very these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, these are the other bad guys, these are some more bad guys. Look, there's more bad guys over here.
Uninspired.
The problem is that outside of the Black Library books, which, let's be honest, Black Library have been smashing out the park with AOS recently, there hasn't really been, we've talked about it so many times, there hasn't been a huge amount to sink your teeth into.
No, that's fair.
A book drops and it's there and it's dropped, and chances are it's going to be a really good read because all of them are so far.
Yeah.
But then whoosh, it almost feels disposable. There you go.
Yeah.
There's your book. Bye.
Yeah.
Come on. Right. Okay, dokes. Anyhow, so let's go back to the question because I think we've come to the end of the news and stories. The question was:
Chaos Dwarfs are out for Total War Warhammer 3.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's news.
I forgot about that. Chaos Dwarfs are out, and that video is gorgeous.
Coming. I mean, but...
They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
That video's gorgeous. That trailer is absolutely lovely, and the
got a gameplay video out as well, telling you how they'll work on the campaign and how the mechanics work and all that kind of jazz as well. This seems quite interesting. This seems different. Like they have their own purpose.
Godzilla with them. That's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right? I like the fact they've got orcs, but they've all got slave collars on. That's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't see any Black Orcs, though, I don't think.
No, I think they probably have their own special units, so you don't want to have too many of the same units that'll do similar things.
Yeah. Centaurs, blunderbusses, the various crazy fucking land train vehicles that they've got. I'm really hoping they've got the Tenderizer and the Whirlwind in there. They probably won't have.
No, I think we've seen all the units.
Everyone's looking at me going, what the fuck's the Tenderizer and the Whirlwind? And I realise how old I am.
No, I think you've seen all of the units in the trailer. That'll be it until they do like specialized units later. Much later.
The Colossus looked really nice, though. I really like the look of the Colossus.
Yep.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Do you recognize the hero Gruff being a
Astaroth
man?
Yeah.
Is there any? Is he the guy that you'd want, or is there like other Chaos Dwarfy dudes that you'd prefer?
I mean, Zartan the Black would be really cool to have, just because he's a freaking bastard, even by Chaos Dwarf standards. I mean, one of his favorite
Cobra and GI Joe, so I'm not surprised.
One of his favorite things to do is to get slaves to run around his great big ziggurat, whilst he just unleashes all sorts of interesting creatures on them. He just sits back and just, how far did that one get? That's cool. That's
the scientific method.
Yeah, and then anyone who survives gets dipped in his giant hot lead pool. So it's just lovely. It's a lovely guy.
We're sure his name's not Straxus.
But yeah, I mean, Astaroth is the one to do because he's the recognisable character. Yeah, I mean, the Chaos Dwarfs never really had that much in the way of special characters. You had Astaroth, you had Zartan the Black, and you had another guy who was a sorcerer who rode a Lamazoo, I can't think what his name was. He
so potentially they could make up their own heroes if they wanted to.
Yeah, and I think they should. Because the characters that they've got outside of Astaroth, they're not really much different to your basic lords, if that makes sense.
Right.
Well, weren't the other two characters you mentioned, weren't they literally just the lord on the...
Yeah.
They were two characters that came on the mounts anyway.
So you could have your the Chaos Dwarf Lord on a Great Taurus, or you could say that it is Zartan the Black. Yeah, and that's because the Chaos Dwarf release was so limited. There wasn't a huge amount to it, Oh god, you talk about things being limited now. Jesus Christ, yeah, nothing, absolutely nothing. And then even when you had the End Times book, what the hell was it called? And you had the Chaos Dwarfs in there, and I think there's only one character that came with that as well. Oh, there was two, because there was a Centaur Lord as well that came with it. But that was literally about it. So at a push, you could get to 5.
Wow.
And that's a real push. I don't even think there was any Chaos Dwarf champions in the Realm of Chaos before that.
Did Astaroth always have the weird, special wheelchair leg things?
Yeah, because he's apart from his face, he's entirely stone.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they've changed his look a little bit then in the game.
Yeah. So basically, that it's very much what he was wearing way back when. It's because the Curse Dwarfs Curse Dwarf sorcerers turn to stone the more they use their magic, and once they turn to stone, they get placed on a plinth, and they're just on a road basically, leading up to the Great Cigarettes. So Astaroth is the oldest sorcerer who has not yet turned to stone, and he's managed to fight it. He's managed to fight the curse back through sheer willpower. The problem is that it's only his head that isn't stone now, so he has to use his big mechanical body in order to move around. He's cool. Yeah. He's very cool. I really, really wish that I could play Total War 3. I really do, but there is no way in hell that this thing will run it.
Well, you could, but your computer probably burst into flames since you booted it up.
I don't think you can play Total War 1 without that happening.
No, not on this thing. Not on this thing. It just wouldn't work whatsoever. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a really good laptop one day.
No, PC better.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer having a desktop PC to a laptop.
Well, they got 10% off Steam Decks at the moment.
I don't think you can play Total War on the Steam Deck, can you? I can't imagine even trying to play a real-time strategy with a mouse, without a mouse and keyboard. That'd be nightmarish. I remember Halo Wars, and that wasn't fun.
Yeah, fair point.
Steam Deck. Okay, performance of Total War Warhammer 3. Still annoys me it's not called Total Warhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, apparently it does run on Steam Deck, and it's not bad. It just takes a lot of work to get it to run in a way that feels comfortable.
Even with 10% off, I'd still say just save the money.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
because you need a PC so you can edit stuff and podcast and all that jazz as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would not want to try and do video editing on a laptop.
Oh no!
Thank you.
Needs to be a really expensive laptop to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got bored of one on Palicom a few weeks back and just started specking a system up, and I just came over here and it was like, it was a really nice system, but the price was just like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just not doable. Not doable. It's and PCs are real expensive still at the moment. They haven't come down in price as much as I'd like. In fact, I don't think they will now. I think that day has long since passed.
Graphics cards are still ruinously expensive for most rigs at the moment.
Yeah,
which is a shame.
It is
understandable, but it's a shame.
Yeah. Right then. So the community question. The community question was: you are given free reign to create or recreate an element of Warhammer Fantasy Battle for an upcoming old world game and setting. For the upcoming old world game and setting, I should say. What do you do and why? Do you guys have any answers, or do you want to wait till the end?
Wait till the end.
Wait till the end.
Okay then. James, Norfolk Sinis, friend of the podcast and all-round tall person, says, I'd like to see other religions in the Empire given more focus. The White Wolf. More the women. The
I'm also down for more the women too.
Yes, I realise it's meant to be more the god of death.
Yes.
And then it just says the women. The Talopimers. The women, the Talopimers. My God, my brain just farted completely there.
No, right. I like the way you said it first time.
The White Wolf, more. The women the Talopimers worship, whose name escapes me. Bring back the White Wolf Knights on foot. I want a full Kislev range. Yes. And Marienburg.
No, Cathay? Oh.
Apparently not. Jason Hardcastle says, humour and hilarious names for the characters and items. Wallopers one-hit wonder. Dangly whatnots, etc. Alex Hayworth says, Realm of Chaos books for the Dark Elves and Chaos Dwarfs. Ah, shit, that gives me an idea. I don't think I'm actually allowed to say what that idea is legally. I think if I mention it, I might get sued. So I'll
save it.
Yeah, let's just say Alex.
Make money off your idea.
Alex is working on something that's very, very cool. I shall leave it.
Is he making 90s Tyranids?
He is not. No.
Oh well.
Over on Instagram, Jez Ancestor says, the Fimir, because they look great, they're very odd, and they're very Warhammer. Obviously, the questionable bits can be left out. That's the questionable bits have already been left out because the Fimir are fucking in AOS. Angers me greatly, this one, because
Are the Chaos Wolves in AOS?
Well, they're both been mentioned, but the Fimir have actually been mentioned as birthing from eggs, so that removes the more problematic part of their background.
What was the problematic part?
They were big old rapists.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're giant lizard people. I mean, that is problematic if you're not a giant lizard person, but...
So their original idea was that when they attacked or did raids, they would kill the men and take the women for breeding. And
okay, yeah, it's kind of classic giant monster thing.
Yeah, exactly. So in this day and age...
but hang on. Dark elves, they're all about rape and slavery and a lot of other bad stuff, but they're allowed to do it. That sounds like some fucking discrimination against lizard people to me. Come on now.
I think it's discrimination against one-eyed lizard people.
Why are dark elves allowed to do all these things, but lizards aren't? That's discrimination. Stupid, isn't it?
It's because dark elves are sexy.
Oh no, that's a bad message to send. Oh no,
that's a bad take.
No, you should have just said that's what they think. That's not what I think. That's what they think.
I'm going to say that's a bad take. Shouldn't have said that. So, you guys then, what would you like to either create or recreate for the old world?
Bring back broken chaos armor.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to do anything to my basic Chaos Warriors? Too bad. I don't die, ever.
Well,
you die.
Unless your opponent is really good at guessing artillery ranges with cannon fire.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Bolt throwers, cannons, that's about it.
Have I ever mentioned that I used to run a Nolan artillery battery as an army? And I was quite good at guessing ranges for my cannons.
Oh. I see that. What I always found in those old days, when it came to like heavy artillery, is you always had 3: one for guessing the range, one for trying out, and then the third one would always hit because you'd be able to average it out perfectly. And that's how you always did it. Ah, man.
Yeah.
Good days. Dude, you ever having to work that shit out? That just feels like such an old thing to have in a game now, doesn't it? I'm going to guess it's 18 inches.
And then having to roll the artillery dice and getting the misfire.
Oh, yeah. One of the 2 things that I hope they bring back is A, scatter dice, and B, magic and magical item cards. I want the actual cards. Yeah.
What a point. I missed the ones from the first Winds of Magic supplement, the ones where they didn't tally the item on the back of the damn card.
Yeah.
Were they the ones that were actually cards, or were they the cardboard cards, the really thick ones?
I'm thinking of the really thick ones.
Yeah, because in my mind that's what I'm thinking of as well. But I don't know if there was just like normal carded ones as well before my time.
I think the first version were normal card, although
right.
And then for so that was 4th edition Fantasy Battle.
Battle Magic was 4th, yeah.
Yeah, and then in 5th, they redid it. Except, whereas in Battle Magic and in Dark Millennium, all the cards just had the branding on the back of whatever type of item it was. So, magic item, war gear, spell from this law, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In 5th edition Battle Magic, all the magic items and spells told you what they were on the reverse of the card.
Yep.
As well as on the front, which removed one of the best bits of that supplement, which was randomly drawing your cards. You couldn't draw randomly anymore because you always knew what you could do. So like, but why?
It made stuff like Kemler really annoying because Kemler, you didn't know what spell you had that turn until you pulled it, and so it's like all the mystery's gone.
Yeah.
It was always fun to turn it. You're like, no.
Because you could draw something really good. You could draw something really bad. You never knew.
Yeah, if it was anything like Battle Magic, he kept drawing Van Hell's Dance Macabre 13 times a turn.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make my skeletons move twice. Then I'm going to make my skeletons move twice. Then I'm going to make my skeletons move twice. Then I'm going to make my skeletons move twice. Gotcha!
Fucking Van Hell, he's got a lot to answer for.
I loved Van Hell's Dance Macabre. It was a great spell. I always found it annoying that the Skaven didn't have something similar. It's like, I just want things to make my Skaven move quicker.
But Skaves aren't supposed to work in concert with each other. That's the whole point. They're supposed to be rubbish and work and get by on sheer luck.
Well, the way I'd have it is that the Grace Hit casts a spell where a big hand just shoves them forward. That's how I'd have it. It's like, so they don't want to go that way. They don't want to move quickly, but they just get rammed forward like. Big Swingin D, what would you like to add in or remove? Oh, sorry.
Well,
to add in or recreate, I should say, not remove. We're not taking anything away. We just want to make good things.
well, it's kind of a catch-all, but Gotrek and Felix, because they're my boys.
Gotrek would be alive. Felix would not.
That's what you say. And
they did go back in time to Mordheim. So
and Dogs of War.
Yeah, Dogs of War.
I'd love to see Dogs of War brought back and just fleshed out even more, because there were so many regiments of renown that they mentioned, but we never got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grudgebringer wouldn't be around, would he, from the Horned Rat game?
Thorgrim?
No,
No.
The Mercenary Command.
Yeah.
No,
because
early.
yeah, because Thingy was around as the leader of the Empire at that point, so it's pre that.
Hmm.
You need to bring him at some point because he's good.
Yeah.
You can have Olaf. Good old Olaf. Friendly, wild mage wizard.
How good would it be if you had a clean, sober, well-to-do Snorri? It's like, yay, it's Snorri before it all went wrong for him.
So you're saying, like, as we go through the years, like, we get a GW special birthday as, like, Snorri gets worse and worse off.
No, I don't want this anymore.
So it's like the downfall of Snorri, episode 1 to 5.
The final version's the shade of Snorri in the Mortal
yeah,
Realm.
it's a ghost. Yeah, perfect. The ghost of Snorri.
That sequence in Realm Slayer had me literally shouting at my phone, going, "No, you leave Snorri alone. He's suffered enough." It's weird how much I've got a real thing for like trying to protect Snorri. Like, love
I've just
Snorri.
had a thought, chaps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you remember we were talking about scale earlier on?
Mm-hmm.
Briefly. So, do you remember they did a special Gotrek and Felix diorama for Dragon Slayer?
They did, yeah. It was slightly bigger, wasn't it?
Yes. I have that entire diorama still boxed up.
Wow.
I'm just wondering, would they all be more or less to scale now with Age of Sigmar?
They wouldn't be
Given
far
the scale
off.
creep we've had over the last, 15, 20 years?
Yeah. I think the dwarfs wouldn't be far off, but the humans would be very Stormcast sized.
I have no problem with that.
I mean,
Quite
yeah.
funny, actually.
I quite like the idea of them finding Felix in the Mortal Realms and him just looking down at a Stormcast. It's like, but I mean, I've got this idea from a Chaos Dwarf, my Warhammer Fantasy Battle Chaos Dwarf army, where I want to try and get somebody to sculpt me a Chaos Dwarf that's just wearing the hat and a loincloth, and then scale it 200% and use it as a giant, because that would just make people feel very uncomfortable.
Well, yes.
I
mean, it adds a whole new element of intimidation to your gameplay tactic.
Absolutely, it does. And of course, I'm waiting for the moment where I finish my Warhammer Fantasy Battle Chaos Dwarf idea army off, and then to announce the Chaos Dwarfs for the old world.
You know it's going to happen.
Yeah, there's precedent.
Yeah, because the next one they could do is like Cathay versus Chaos Dwarves, because they're both again not in AOS.
Yeah,
and in Total War Warhammer.
That's actually a really good matchup.
I like that,
and not one they've really done before either.
No, well, Cathay's never really had anything, has it?
Well, yeah.
Chaos Dwarves are Chaos Dwarves.
Chaos Dwarves are always a problem because they're so far off in their own little corner that they didn't really work as opponents for anyone, given where they were.
Yeah, the only thing that they really fight is like the Chaos Wastes and then the Ogre Kingdoms. That's about it.
Maybe in the Gaseous Kingdom?
Yeah, it depends.
You've got to get over the World's Edge Mountains to get to them, though.
Yeah.
It's it's one of those things where they just sit in their own little area and they just take their slaves, and every now and again somebody goes out and does some raiding.
They do trading as well. There's a lot of trading.
Yeah. I always found it really annoying because we know that there was a certain amount of Chaos Dwarfs, and then they had like just fuck tons of slaves. I always found it really annoying there wasn't slave units in the old Chaos Dwarf armies, because when you got Skaven slaves at that point, so
Yeah, that was an odd choice that they made.
yeah,
I think I can kind of understand why.
Yeah. But it would just be really fun to be able to like throw like a flagellant unit or something to the army.
Is it weird that like the Dark Elves are the most known for their slavery, but they're the only army that don't employ them as fighters?
It makes a certain kind of sense because they don't see their slaves as having any worth other than the most menial of tasks. So
the Dark Elves do take a kind of pride in their fighting prowess.
Yeah,
slaves would kind of not mesh with that particularly well.
Yeah, it wouldn't really fit. But it depends. If they had a lot of wood elves, they'd probably cattle prod them out into the middle of an army. Like, get out there, yeah.
Isn't that like spoiling the broth though? Because that's like taking your good show pony out to a battlefield when you could be back at home beating the shit out of it.
Yeah, it's true actually. Yeah.
Urinating on flowers in front of them to make them cry, etc., etc.
Dressing a tree man up in a dress and making it go off to fuck with the Bretonians.
I like the idea that it's just like they're making out and having sex with trees in front of wood elves, and they're like, "No, leave the tree alone." That's not what we mean by love the trees. And like, I've got splinters all over my dick, but I love it.
Oh, wood gazer, did you not know that his bark is worse than his bite? And that's the perfect time to end this show. Andy, where can people find you if they so wish to find you? If they wanted to hunt you down with a giant butterfly net and hold you in a cage until you are very, very, very possessed?
You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter as Decayed Andy, a rotten corpse of a person, not a 10-year period. And I'm on the Moonbase 2 podcast, where me and Mikey talk about Transformer things each and every week, and that can be found. Just Google Moonbase 2 Transformers podcast. You'll find us. We're there.
Yes, absolutely. And Big Swingin D, is there anything that you would like to pimp out or project onto the audience as if some kind of weird woody appendage to throw swords at your enemies?
Sure. So I'm a regular contributor to the UKAnime.net.
Excellent.
Throwing out reviews here and there. And as I'm sure some of you've noticed, I'm also doing reviews for the Fluffenhammer for Adam.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm on all the socials. Look for my name, Dawfydd, Dawfydd, and a picture of a cup. If it's not that combination, it's probably not me.
I like the fact that you looked at my name and then realised you had to actually give your name because nobody said it.
Yes.
Look for me at bigswingind.com.
I mean, you'll probably find something doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of something I need to tell you guys off air. I'm not repeating. I'm not repeating it on air. Right. As for myself, you can find me on Twitter at Grufflock. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at ADNickel, which is where I put out my art and anything that isn't Fluffenhammer related. You can find the Fluffenhammer at the Fluffenhammer anywhere you look, really. Instagram, Twitter. I did try Reddit for a little bit, but that didn't work, and I lost interest. So sorry for anybody who was following us on Reddit. It's nothing to do with you. It's me. It's all me. I got bored of Reddit very, very quickly. And apart from all that, yeah, there's loads of stuff coming. The Patreon is about to have a little bit of an overhaul, a much-needed overhaul, because I've been meaning to do that for about 8 months. But that's going to be happening next month. And yeah, that's it. So with all that being said, thank you very much to Big Swingin D for stepping in.
No worries.
Thank you very much, Randy, as always, for being my point of joy in an otherwise cold, unforgiving night.
Wait, I'm your point of joy?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And thank you to you guys at home if you are still listening. Bye-bye. Goodbye.